want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Jericho get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know contest. Yahoo, he do the bled. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to thought. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing hard with big manotas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lord, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he farted. He running to the hills like a Philistine. G-Hawk hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the ratchet team. JJ 7000 to the bait league. I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Michael got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, arms open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as a realist, yeah. Death by gun, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I be in bed. Man, they know contest. Yahoo, he do the bed. Wow, what's that? Why didn't take it over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. I'm selling on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Yeah. Welcome to the den. Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Sabaraka. Kwam Yashar. The Lions is in the building. That's right. And what we do over here, man, we put out information. And that's what we're going to do today. We don't do the Wendy Williams troll stuff and try to attack people's character, their personal life. We ain't got time for that. So today we're going to be just an open discussion, open panel, but we're going to show a video pertaining to some of the lies that Masi Warrior Tribe or whatever they call themselves over there been saying, that there's no Israelites in Africa, that a white man converted all of them to what they are today. All these tribes. We're going to show how we was in Spain and Portugal and Germany, all over the goddamn world. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and introduce the panel. We got the artist of the Lions Den in the building, Neo Love from Sandpit Records. We're going to start off with him. Go ahead, Aki. Tell everybody where they can find you and all that type of good stuff. Go ahead, Ak. Unmute your mic.
Yo, what's good with it? What's good with it? Peace. Shabbat shalom, if that's what you do today, or if you do it tomorrow, whatever, you know. Neo Love in the building. Shout out to JJ 7000, the debate league. The debate league, JJ 7000, the debate league, the one everybody hating on right now. I get it, you know. But you can check me out, check some more of the music out at youtube.com/Sandpit Records. Records with a or you can find me on facebook.com/Sandpit Records. Yes, sir.
On YouTube. Right.
On Facebook and YouTube, both of them, it's the same.
Okay, cool. Lions in the building. All right. And next up, we got the Commanding General Yashar. If you're looking at that video, you seen him on here. He was stepping down on something. Probably them haters' neck. Go ahead, Yashar.
Shalom, family. Shalom. Tanks on the ground. Source up. Motivated focus. You know what I'm saying? So the topic is we're gonna be talking about our family outside of Israel, right? So we're gonna be talking about North Africa, West Africa, Spain, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna be bringing sources.
Oh yeah. So this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Before we even get started. So this is a source that our brother Mighty Hebrew even understand and know about, right? So we're gonna be coming from here, right?
Okay.
We're not just gonna be running our mouths today.
Right.
So we got another source that we're gonna come with, right?
Hebrews in West Africa. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This is one that I was building with Sister Karima and a couple of other elder Devanya, right?
Yeah.
You can see
what they say Bible is what's that
hold on. Get this.
I see Jews. What's that two top words say?
It say Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in Spanish and Portuguese discoveries.
Okay, cool.
You see what I'm saying? And so
right
with this source here, we talking about a time period where so-called pale-skinned Jews wasn't known as pale-skinned Jews. So what Jews was they talking about? We're gonna get into that. So I just want to show y'all that I'm not coming here just to run my mouth, just to be seen, just to look for some attention. But I'm coming here to lace y'all up with some information that we can use to help us better understand where we come from, what we went through. Shalom, family.
All right. Who else we got up on here? We got the elder in the building, Tashaka.
Man, only thing I want is smoke. You know what's going on with me right now with the rib and everything. So, I mean, it's a good way for me to like expel some energy. I appreciate you, brothers, and everything you loved ones are doing. I like the way the bills be going this morning. Was very, very, very intriguing, JJ. It was very intriguing this morning. It got a little heated.
Yeah,
got a little heated. I had Michael Smith back there. I didn't go get him. I respected him, but I let Landine do his thing. You brothers are so amazing, man. I love you, brothers, man. Whether we agree to disagree, we still family when it's all said and done with. Now, that goddamn Google Scholar, man, we gonna tear his ass apart again. But
right.
I'm loving you, brothers. JJ, you know you my man. We from the ill state. We from the ill state.
Hold up.
So go ahead, my lord. Just keep blessing us with the knowledge, my lord.
Yeah, hey, JT, if you're out there listening, bro, the link. Hey, Kareem, put the link in the chat, please. He just called. All right.
You finna call JT. You know JT gonna go crazy.
All right, yeah. Yeah, you go crazy for the, for the book, That's all.
Sometimes that's real necessary.
Do the grandkids still watch?
Yeah. They was on. They didn't get on this morning because they went to Iowa. But my granddaughter, she called me and said she caught the late part of something. That's why I said the Google Scholar, because she said she was trying to look up something that Landine was saying. And she couldn't really do it at the moment in time, but she said she was going to listen. My great, I don't have. What
about the little ones that used to say JJ on? Tell them about that. Tell them about that.
That's Uncle JJ. 7,000. That's uncle. Because you know, I'll put you up upstairs, and they be like, man, JJ on. He on. He live. How you know he live? We pushing the button. We can see him. We can see him. Yeah.
So this is why we gotta be careful of what we say, because you don't know who watching y'all. Who watching
The baby's
us?
watching. Trust me, the baby's watching. The baby's watching. The babies are really watching. My oldest grandchild is 13 years old, and I got 23 grandkids. The baby watching.
That's
Real
what's
talk.
up,
JT,
man.
that's you? That's you, JT?
Yeah. We got.
What's up?
All right, let's
You know
finish
who it
introducing
is,
the panel.
man. You know who it is, man.
Hold up. We got the.
Shouldn't have to
We got the,
ask.
we got the camp killer in the building.
You got the
JT.
fiery lion up in this bitch.
Yeah. You
Oh,
got any
what
words
that
to say?
Hey,
JT.
what's up with the Google man? I'm gonna call him Google Nerd, bro. That's his new name.
No, he got
Hey.
smashed already. Let's not smush him back here. He got
Yeah.
whipped to death earlier
Well, that's
today.
good. That's good. An
Thought he-
atheist nigga got his ass smacked up.
But he got whooped to death, B. I witnessed it. Michael Smith, though. Hey, Michael Smith, I still want to interview you, Michael Smith.
Yeah. I don't know about, man. Michael Smith be on one. I don't know where he be coming from. He called us the feds earlier, somebody tapping his mic.
I
You know what I'm
appreciate
saying?
Elder Shaka, your common sense is above his understanding. So you know, it's
Man,
not-
I appreciate all them accolades. Okay, let's go with the subject. Come on, let's go with the subject, my Lord. I need to do something to expel some of this. All right, let me explain to y'all what's going on. Let me explain to y'all what's going on.
Hold up, Tashaka. We got to finish introducing, then we're going to start on the subject. I promise.
All right, let's get it.
Yeah. All right, we got the Smushinator in the building, the Lions Den middleweight intercontinental champion. Go ahead, Art. Got the kids watching, see?
Looking
Yeah,
good.
man. You know what it is. You know what I'm saying? You know who it is. The most hated, the most underrated, the most underdebated, the smusher ahead, the smushinator. You know what I'm saying? Here with my only begotten son. You know what I'm saying? Azari Ben Zion. This is my reader from now on. When I start debating, I'm gonna tell my son, read.
Hallelujah.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, this little man right here, he got so much scripture in him. I don't even know the depths. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when we here in the den, you know what I'm saying? Big shout out to everybody on the panel. You know, I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? To all our haters, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what y'all can do. You know what I mean?
You can get out here.
All right.
Because if you're a hater, then there's no point in watching.
Right.
From the mouths of babes. You
Right.
heard me?
Why are you here?
The young Lord said it. The young Lord said that.
Come.
The only reason
What were you gonna
Yeah.
do?
the only reason a hater would even come here would be to say something in comments that's stupid.
Facts, man. That's
They
right.
just doing their job, man. That's all. That's what the haters do. They hate
Yeah,
on the
man. You
real.
know we in here. You know what I'm saying? Malachi chapter 4, verse 6, baby.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right, my
Hey,
Lord.
Karima, can you send Yasha Bennett, Yasha the link, or he just called?
Yeah.
He just send it to him or somebody so he can jump on. Tell him we live. All right. We also have on the panel. I think that's I can't say that Yasha Samora in the building. Yosef. Who's that at the bottom? Oh, that's okay. Rabbi Lewis is in the building. Go ahead, Rabbi. Lewis.
We'll man to Shaitan Rajim Bismillah Rahman Rahim. And there were a lot of most merciful, especially merciful. I bear witness there's no God but Allah, Muhammad's messenger. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad.
Right. Right. So we got an interesting panel, you know, and also last but not least, well, not last but not least, we got Eric the mad scientist in the building. Let everybody know.
Oh
where they
my
can
God!
find him.
The mad scientist is here.
Hey, how you
man.
doing? How you doing? Peace. Peace to everybody. Peace
Right.
to
I
everybody.
didn't know science was mad.
Yeah, he mad at they science. He mad at they science. That's what it is. That's pseudoscience.
Yeah,
So he get
hold on. I'm gonna explain
Oh,
again so
okay, I
everybody
didn't
can actually have my
understand
name
that.
is said.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I'm mad. I call myself mad scientist because I'm showing the technology and the science that the government is using against us to push through the black agents that we call evolution and atheists. So I
Yeah.
understand when people see that name, they think I'm a scientist and all that, but I'm not. But peace to my Israelite brothers, peace to the Moorish brothers, and peace to the indigenous Americans. You know what I'm saying? Y'all check out the JJ 7000 TikTok, and I just want to say what y'all Rashad about the show. He read that to us in the back chat, that book with Columbus. And I mean, I'm telling you, when wait till he brings this stuff out about Christopher Columbus, man. I ain't heard this shit from nowhere else. So you know, what I mean, I appreciate the shit he bringing out. And you know, everybody just keep doing y'all thing, keep pushing, man. 'Cause these agents, they trying to make us stop believing in God, man. They trying to destroy everything. They rather for us to be apes than fucking be human beings and under God and special people, man. And that's where we are. So peace.
Yeah, if a nigga want to be an ape, let's all get together, get a crate of bananas and send it to them niggas.
Right. All right. So what we gonna do? Like I say, Yashar got some information.
Hold on.
Smith got some information.
Hey, JJ, I just want to say something to somebody in the chat. Said how atheists Asians. I didn't say Asians. I said agents. So I'm just making that so clear. Okay.
What do you say? How atheists are agents?
Yeah, I guess by my accent, he think I'm saying Asians.
Yeah, some atheists. Hold up, some atheists are agents. Goddamn, they placed in our community to get us to go and be a distraction to go against the Most High. You damn right. Some of them are.
Hey, JJ, can I ask the whole panel? See, you know what I'm going through, and don't nobody else know what I'm going through. So maybe I can get some wisdom and some wise out of you, brothers and sisters, when it's on here, especially Karima, because Karima might can help me with this one. Remember, I just told you the other day. Well, I didn't tell you the whole backstory because I was talking to Pranaf and Maharakar about it. You know, I believe in polytheism, so I got more than one wife. So my original rib, we going 32 years ago. 32 years ago, when I first come into the truth, that's my original rib. Let's go 32 years to the future. So the other day, last week, what happened was, something was going on with her, and she ended up going to the hospital. They said she had a stroke, right? Then they said she had bleeding on the brain. The next day, I pop up there with 2 more of my ribs, and they say, all right, she can go home. We're going to let you take her home. I went to get the car. One of my ribs was up there with her. The other rib was with me. By the time I got back, she had transformed, meaning she had passed away. Now, my thing is, how do I deal with my other 2 ribs who are also...
My condolences, brother. I didn't know. My condolences.
Yeah, I didn't give you the whole story, my lord. This just happened last Thursday. Yeah. Everything happened Thursday. So my other ribs are grieving because they're sister wives, but at the same time, that's why I jumped on. I need some help right here. My second rib to the first. She's upset with me because my first rib really made me a POA, meaning I have the power of attorney to do whatever. Me and Landine sat down already. She's going to have a for real Hebrew funeral. It's just not going to happen right now. We have to wait till the 4th to do exactly what we're trying to do. So, I mean, that's good. That's already taken care of. But how do this is the question to the panel. I have 3 ribs. I have 3 wives. How do I console my second and third wife from losing their first sister wife? And right now, my second wife, who came after her, is upset with me because I'm doing so much to make sure that her transition is ready. Or it's I don't even want to say ready. She's already transitioned. It's just a shell now. How do I make them understand that I don't love you less? I don't love her more, but I love her enough to do what's I'm supposed to do as her husband. She was my helpmate. She bought me my only seed in the whole world. I don't have
Can I
any other. Go
can
ahead,
I
my lord.
interject with that question, brother? I
Yes,
think,
my lord.
and I can't speak for your, you know what I'm saying, because
I'm
I
seeking counsel.
never
I'm
had 3
seeking
wives.
counsel.
So
I'm seeking counsel.
yeah, I ain't never had 3 wives. So you know what I'm saying. So you could take my, but they wouldn't want you not to be there for them in
But
their
my
time.
second wife,
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? You see
I
what I'm saying?
understand that.
So
My
when
second
you're
wife is
doing
having some
for
type
the
of
one,
turmoil about it, though.
yeah. So what you're doing for the one, they would expect you to do for them if they were in the same situation. And that's kind of how you got to explain it to them. You know what I'm saying? You love them all equally. And at the same time, you know what I'm saying? What they should be taking from this is your care and concern that that they're witnessing for the one that you would no less do for them. And that's the only way I could say. I can't say if they're going to accept that, but you know what I mean?
Much
That's the only
appreciated,
way
my lord. Much appreciated. I mean, I'm taking counsel from everybody right now because I've never been placed in the position that I'm placed in right now. You had something to say, Karima?
No, my son.
Just basically continue to seek counseling. Seek counseling for all y'all. All y'all need to, sit down together and deal with this situation together.
But listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that's crazy. Just not even 2 weeks ago, she revealed something to me that's over like a decade and a half ago. Something she did. Oh, all right, she committed fornication. She slept. She went outside of the marriage.
Hey, whoa. Hey, bro, I don't really think this is. I think you should be. Let's discuss it behind the scenes, bro.
On the conference call, we could deal with that.
Yeah.
All right, my lord. We'll do it that way.
Tomorrow morning when we go, you know how we have our morning calls every morning. Let's do
Right.
that. Yeah,
All right,
I
we'll do that tomorrow.
don't think they for everybody to hear, bro.
All right, you right, my lord. You right, my lord. I thought it was just us back here.
No, we live. We live.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we was live. I respect
Yeah, we get
everybody.
ready to get it in.
All
Yeah.
right, let's just bang on something.
All right.
Let's just bang on
my son wanted to interject real quick. Say what you want to say, son.
Subscribe to Firehouse Reasoning.
All right. Yep.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
His channel. Subscribe to that. You know, and
what is it? Say it again.
He said Firehouse Reasonings. we in coalition with Lions Den. Firehouse Reasonings it was born from Lions Den. It's a part of Lions Den. We are a subsidiary group of Lions Den. We deal with reasonings, information, and my son does some gaming and stuff like that. Even I'm going to try and do some children's debates. I want if you got a child who's 9, 10 years old and they want to argue about some cartoon characters, some you know what I'm saying, things that kids would want to debate on. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to do here because the Lions Den is about family. You
Hey, guess what? LP son Jeremiah. That could be his first debate. I think he's like 10 years old because he challenged me to a debate one time. His little son.
Wow.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he be watching too. Like I say, the kids be watching. So
yeah, because I want to say that. I want to say I appreciate y'all, man, that y'all reaching the kids now. We letting the kids see. Like I also let my son see, but you know he 18 now, so I mean to me he's still a kid going
He's
into
a big
manhood.
boy, but he's your baby still.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, so I'm still teaching them, and I actually teach them by sending these videos to them, by letting them see these videos. So I appreciated that y'all understanding that it's the youth that's going to matter, and they are listening to us. And I want to say, check out Life Death Conflict TV, because like Zion said, that's a branch off of the Lions Den. I got a bunch of Lions Den people on there that I talk to, so I don't want people to think this is something like a separation from that. So we all doing different things to help with each other and help send information out.
This is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. But what y'all don't know, I tear JJ ass up in the debate too. Now, JJ, I'm talking shit. I'm talking shit. I'm talking shit, JJ.
Hey, I'm retired, man. That's my excuse.
What you retired from talking too damn much?
Yeah.
Right.
We ain't never gonna stop that. Yo,
Hey,
my
let me tell y'all
son,
something real quick.
Hey, a lot of people that broke JJ out of retirement now. This ain't
you know what I'm
first
saying?
time.
Like, yeah.
Hey, let me
How
tell y'all
many
something real
times
quick.
did Jay-Z go into retirement? Like 2 times, right? And he's still out here doing his thing. Yeah, listen, you take
Right.
breaks sometimes.
Hey, but listen, we are reaching people because guess what? I was on the phone yesterday talking to Yasha Ben Israel, right? And I was getting ready to go into work, and some brother that worked there, he overheard me say Charlotte the TV. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, man? Yeah, I watched that." He said, "You know who I like on that show?" He said, "Man, I fucks with that guy named Commission." I said, "Oh shit, bro."
Yeah.
I said, "Look, I can call him right now for you," and I did. And I gave him Commission number, and you see, and they clicked
I
up.
get commission too, my lord. I love commission.
Yeah, a lot of
I love commission.
everybody fucks with commission.
Yep. But Kramer, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sister.
Yeah. He said, "Go ahead, Kareem."
No, you was about to tell me to play the
Oh, okay.
Yo, Jay,
Go
we
ahead
need
and start the video. Hey, JT, this is that Benaiah Israel you was talking about. He powerful.
Okay, yeah. Yo, can I say something before you get to that video?
Yep. Go
Yo,
ahead.
we need a topic called "Where Are the Prophets Today?"
Yep.
So that would be my place because you know I'm a Rastafari, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I can argue that.
And I definitely want Terry on there because
Wait,
I had
we can do this right now, JT. We can do this right now. He
we
was
check
got
this
a
out.
plan. We got a plan for what
Nah,
we're
let's
gonna
do it
tonight.
another time. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
I want
Yeah,
my
that's a good
man, I
topic.
want Yasha on here because I had Yasha talk to one of my boys and shit, and my man told him some shit that he really need to hear, and he like broke it down to him real good and said, "Yeah, this cat told me a lot of things that came to pass." So I want to do a topic on that. Where are the prophets today?
Yeah, we can
When
do
we get a
that.
chance.
All right, Kareem, can you do that? The fair use? How you say it?
The fair use. It's not your joint.
The legal statute. You want to put that underneath there? So
He might play some music or something.
Can you,
Yo, Jay, this the video I sent you?
This is one of his videos.
Oh, okay, bet.
Yeah. It goes over some of the stuff that the video you showed when he be showing his sources and references, and how his sources come before, like what, in the early 1800s or something, and how they used to talk about it. Yeah, and they call us. They would say that the Israelites were black. Black Jews, whatever you want to call it. These are old sources that this brother bringing to the table.
Now, can I say something before you get to that video?
I wanted to say something too. Go ahead, JT.
We need to do the fair act thing. Don't let us forget.
Nah, I ain't gonna say no. Like I've been telling a lot of Negroes that like my ancestry is Negroes that come out of Spain and Portugal and shit. My father told me that shit like about 15, 16 years ago. I thought he was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm finding out a lot of information that we was over there and that a lot of things that happened, not good, not bad, but it's good that we learning the truth on all levels.
Right.
Hey, JT, can I ask you a question? Because people don't know, look, it's me and you, JT. What people don't know, we call each other on Messenger. I know your whole phone number, nigga. Shit, if you move around too much, I walk through your whole house with you. But
No
listen,
doubt.
my lord, I mean, because I love you. You my nigga. Man, I fuck with you because that's the way I fuck with you. But we gotta come to some type of I want to use the word conclusion, but I want to use a correct word other than conclusion. Because if we come to a conclusion, I mean we come to an end of something, and once we come to an end of something, that means it's over with. And then when it comes to Yasharala, it's never over with. My lord, listen. Did you jump on the thing with Mahara Kali the other night? Because I was there when he did the E37.
Nah, I wasn't on there. No.
Oh, you didn't get on there?
Nah,
you didn't catch
I ain't even know.
Yeah, because the brother, he was, me, like I told you, I'm one of them Israelites that I deal with a bunch of different people, and this is my mainstay point right here. I don't necessarily have to agree with you for you to be my brethren. We might disagree. You still my brother, though. Now, you know what I like about you, JT? You go ham. You ain't taking no shorts and no losses. I love that because you from New York. I'm from Chicago. I'm from 79th. You from up there.
Who, JT, right?
Yeah, I'm talking to JT. JT, my nigga. Nigga just gotta call me earlier.
I'm from like Hollis. I'm from like Hollis, Queens.
Okay, y'all. Let's
Run DMC from LA.
Right. Let's get the video going because
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
All right, run the video.
Yep. All right, go ahead, Karima. Oh wait, see this video, Fair Use Acts. It was
it's up.
There it goes. 1976.
Hold up, there it goes right there. We gotta read it, right?
Fair use.
Yeah, it's up.
Right. You know,
somebody read
I read law all day, so I can run that for y'all.
Go ahead, read it, somebody.
Copyright disclaimer, you know what I'm saying? Under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. You know what I'm saying? That is the fair use disclaimer doctrine. Ken.
Now run that beautiful Bane footage.
All right, let's get it. It's kind of a long introduction, so but hey, it's gonna get to the point, y'all.
History, a chronological record of significant events, such as those including an explanation of their causes. You see, fam, the pieces of our history were constructed by those who once held us captive, who selectively chose, deleted, modified, and packaged a customized history just for you. They decided the books you read, topics to discuss, and most importantly, the topics to avoid, all stacked into a neat curriculum called your history. However, what would happen if you researched your own history, free of the preconceived notions and racisms of your oppressors? Well, if you do, you may find surprising truths such as your bloodline, your DNA, connect you directly to Europe, and most importantly, you'll discover that Europe wasn't always considered a white nation. In fact, they were black.
Hey, I take some good notes, man. I'm telling you, you got a lot of good information.
Yo, Jay, while you play, I'm gonna try to get in touch with this brother. I know
family.
some
It's your
people
brother
down
Benign
in Atlanta
Benizzo,
that
coming
know
to
him.
you with a lesson called Black Germany. That's right, fam. No, I did not misspeak. I said Black Germany. And most high willing, fam, we will review references to show that not only does the so-called African American have direct ties and direct links to the Black Brews of Spain and Portugal, but we'll also show that we have a direct tie, direct link to the Black Brews of Germany. Hallelujah. All right, fam. So if you're curious, stay tuned. Go ahead and strap in, fam. Oh, you may want to grab a web browser. Just grab a device where you have a web browser, because on a few of these slides, I want you to be able to pull up some of your information to confirm that you are also tied into these Black Brews of Black Germany. Hallelujah. All right, fam. Well, with that being said, fam, we're going to switch over to more of a lecture format. Like I said, that's because of the sheer volume of slides that we have to cover in order to lay the foundation. All right, fam. Well, let's get started by just briefly reviewing some of the information that we brought out about the Black Brews of Spain and Portugal and why we call them the Black Brews of Spain and Portugal. And number one, we were able to identify them as the Black Brews of Spain and Portugal by simply using references that were published before the 1850s, like from the 1850s and older. Usually those references describe the brews of Spain and Portugal as black, swarthy, dark skin, brown, right? Any, pretty much all the synonyms you can think of as far as describing the black, dark skinned people, you'll find it in those old references when describing the brews of Spain and Portugal. So that was the first body of evidence that we brought out. And some of the other supporting pieces of evidence included, not limited to, cranial analysis, right? Cranial analysis of the old bones of the brews of Spain and Portugal show that they were a dolichocephalic people. Now, if you don't know what the dolichocephalic is the shape of the Negro skull. Hallelujah. And then another body of evidence that we brought out, we pointed out in archaeology, specifically the Lakesh relief. The Lakesh relief depicts the brews of Judah, specifically the tribe of Judah, as being a nappy, woolly-headed people. Not only that, at Lakesh there was an archaeological dig which occurred there, and where they dug up all the bones, and they did a cranial analysis on the bones, and they identified the bones of the brews as being a Egypto-Nubian people. Hallelujah. Not only that, but we also took a look at DNA, family, and we proved that the so-called African American, as well as other Negroes around the world, we literally match the brews at one of the archaeological sites. And we also matched the dispersion pattern of the brews in Africa. There were certain places that the brews were of Spain and Portugal dispersed to in Africa, and so-called African Americans matched that dispersion pattern. Hallelujah. All right. So that's it for, as far as like the brews of Spain and Portugal. But I also want to review who the brews of Spain and Portugal say they are. Unlike many of us in the dispersion, the brews of Spain and Portugal knew exactly who they were. They actually had their genealogies, right? And a lot of their neighbors knew who they were because the brews in Spain and Portugal knew who they were. So with that being said, fam, let's just read a few references of the brews of Spain and Portugal telling us which tribe they belong to. So with that being said, let's take a look at the following reference, which reads, the Western Jews pretend, moreover, that some of the most considerable families of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin went and settled in Sephard or Spain. Hallelujah. All right, fam. So we can see here that the brews believe that they were from the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, which we refer to as the house of Judah or the children of Judah. All right. And also, let's just read a little bit more of this reference. And it says, and that it is among them that the royal line is best preserved, on which from the house of Judah, which was Judah, Benjamin, and also Levi, which is not mentioned in this reference. But also found that because they believed that they were from the royal lineage, unfortunately, it caused them to treat their brothers a certain type of way. Right? A few of these references talk about the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal looking down upon their brothers, and that's not a good thing, fam. That's not a good thing. But let's go on to the next reference, fam. The next reference reads, for this one, we're going to start on the right-hand side. It says, at a conference held in Aragon, which is in Spain, before the anti-pope in 1414, this number was also given by the Jews. Abarbanel afterwards gave the same number, but divided it into 40,000 families of Judah, 10,000 of Benjamin, and the priests. Hallelujah. All right, fam. So you can see in this particular reference, when they're talking about the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal, they're especially Abarbanel breaks them up into the tribes, the specific tribes that they were from, that they believe that they were from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and the priests, aka the house of Judah. All right, fam. And then let's go on to our third reference. And for this one, we're going to also start on the right-hand side, a little bit before the highlighted part where it says, King Alonso, whence we may learn, if we can believe it, that a king of Spain who had assisted Nebuchadnezzar in reducing Jerusalem brought an enormous population into Spain, all from either the family of David or at least from
Judah,
the tribe of Judah. And
hope
that
y'all
the royal
listening.
family resided first in Seville, then in Granada. Just so that you know, fam, Granada was one of the places that we so-called African Americans have a DNA match to. And it's a specific place in Granada. It's a place where the Jews presided. Hallelujah. All right. So that's just to show you that not only did the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal believe that they were from the tribe of Judah, but we also match the areas where these Hebrews lived in Granada. Hallelujah. All right. And the reason, family, that they knew who they were was because they had their own genealogy. And what I'm going to show you on the screen, family, is just one of the genealogies that the Yaya Negroes have. So there's a particular family of the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal called the Yayas, right? And they're the ones that eventually changed their names to Negroes. The reason why the Negroes were so known in Spain and Portugal was because they were the tax collectors. They
All right,
were
stop
the
right there.
governors.
Stop
They
right there
were
for
the
1
leaders
second.
of the synagogues. So the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal.
See, but Garfield want to try to make, oh, well, yeah, you Israelites, if you were Israelites, you'd be tax collectors. See, and he was trying to say that these tax collectors were Europeans. See, Garfield is trying to, he actually told me, him and Kyle, that the Yaya family were Europeans. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like you put the evidence in their face and they just reject it and try to paint another picture. But go ahead. You know, I got to say something every 3 minutes. That's why I'm doing it. Other than that, I'll let it play. All right, go ahead.
Knew about the Negroes because they played an important part in the governing of the Hebrews in Spain and Portugal. And with that being said, fam, what you see on the screen is one of the genealogies of the Yaya Negroes. And if you take a look at this genealogy, it goes back all the way back to King David, right? And you'll see the name David located near the top, and then Salomo, his son, near the top on the left. But the takeaway here, family, is that the reason why the Hebrews of Spain and Portugal knew that they were from the tribe of Judah, knew that they were descended from King David, was because they had their own genealogy. Like, unlike us, descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, you know, they didn't have their history taken away from them like we did. But they had their genealogy just like the genealogy you can find in the scriptures. Like if you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 1, we can even see the genealogy of Hamashiach, of the Messiah. And it reads, the book of the generation of Hamashiach, or Yahusha, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac, Isaac begat Jacob, which is Israel, and Jacob begat Judah and his brethren. Hallelujah. So we can see that even in the scriptures, we can find genealogies of the Messiah going back to Judah. Hallelujah. We can even find a genealogy in the book of Luke, chapter 3, verse 23. That's Luke chapter 3, verse 23, where it says, and Yahusha himself began to be about 30 years of age, being as he was supposed the son of Joseph, and was the son of Heli, which was the son of Mathat, which was the son of Levi, which was the son of Malachi, which was the son of Janna, which was the son of Joseph. And we skip all the way down to verse 33. It says, which was the son of, and forgive me, I'm gonna mess up some of these names, fam. But it says, which was the son of Aminadab, which was the son of Aram, which was the son of Asram, which was the son of Phares, which was the son of Judah. Hallelujah. Which was the son of Jacob, which was the son of Isaac. So again, you can see the genealogy in the scriptures point to and identify the tribe of Judah. Hallelujah. All right, fam. So I just want to show you that the Brews in Spain and Portugal knew who they were because they had their genealogies, just like the genealogies that we can find in the scripture. And also, fam, the reason why that's important is because in the scriptures, there are certain prophecies that have to do with just the tribe of Judah, or just the house of Judah specifically. And let me show you what I'm talking about, fam. So if you go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, and we're just going to go here just to take a look at some of the prophecies that have to do with the house of Judah, right? With the tribe of Judah that we have to fulfill. Okay. So in Luke chapter 21, let's start at verse 21, and it reads, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Now, Judea, if you don't know, fam, is where the house of Judah lives. So Israel was divided into two nations, right? There was the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. What I call the northern and southern kingdom. The south side was called Judea, right? And that's where the house of Judah lived. That's where the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi lived in Judea. So let's read about what the Messiah has to say about the people that's living in Judea. We know that it's the Messiah because these words are written in red, right? But let's read it. It says, fam, verse 21, it says, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So there's a prophecy, fam, that has to be fulfilled that he's talking about. We'll read that here in a moment. It says, verse 23, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. Who are this people? Them which are in Judea, right? And let's go down to verse 24. It reads, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Have we not been led away captive into all nations, fam? And it reads, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. All right. So let's take a look at one of the prophecies that deal specifically with the house or tribe of Judah. And for that, let's go over to Joel chapter 3, and we'll start at verse 1. That's Joel chapter 3, verse 1. And it reads, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations and will bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people. That should sound familiar, fam. And have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. Verse 6, the children of Judah, see if it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians.
Grecians, you heard what he said.
Talk about those Grecians, I will in this presentation. They are certain people, family, The children who got sold to Bruce's family, the children of Judah, children of Judah and children of Jerusalem, and so that he might remove them far from their border.
Hey, Karima.
So you can see,
starting to sound like a robot.
So
starting to sound like a robot. I don't know. They might be trying to block it, man. They don't want to hear this truth. All right, see if it started back up and see if it's still doing it.
Takeaway here, fam, is that the Brews of Spain and Portugal knew exactly who they were. And now that fam, they had a specific prophecy that they had to fulfill as the children or the house in Portugal.
Hey, y'all see this?
Let's use these buses for example. And let's imagine this hypothetical example that a lot of different tribes living in different places around the world took one of these buses to the west coast of Africa. And not only did they come from different places, but they arrived there at different times. There were Brews that arrived in West Africa that came directly from Egypt, didn't even go over to the Promised Land. There are Brews that came over on a bus that came directly from Jerusalem before the Messiah was even born, right? There were Brews that came on the bus over to West Africa, you know, the proverbial bus, right, fam? Just keeping it real. But came over on the proverbial bus over to the west coast of Africa from Spain and Portugal, right? And not only that, fam, it wasn't just one bus that came from Spain and Portugal, right? Some buses came at different times. Right, there was a bus that came in 1492. There was one that came in 1496 or later. Some that came in the 1500s. But the point is, fam, is that in the west coast of Africa, you have multiple tribes who got there at different times, who believe different things, fam. Because just think about it, fam. If you have a bus of Brews that arrived on the west coast of Africa, and they came directly from Egypt, their practices are going to be different from those that actually went to Mount Sinai and received the commandments from the Most High at Mount.
All right. So as y'all can see, here's the route of us coming into West Africa. Masi tribe, Dagger Squad, or anybody over at Pseudo Killers who say that, like Google Scholar, show me the proof. Well, here we go right here. We can show it to them, but they still ain't gonna believe us. I mean, it's called cognitive dissonance. All right, Kramer, go ahead. Unless somebody else has something to say. I guess not. All right,
Mount Sinai, because they weren't even there, right? So that's one thing you have to understand. So when we're talking about our history on the west coast of Africa, we have to make sure we're talking about the right bus. Are there Brews from Dan in West Africa? Absolutely. Are there Brews from Benjamin in West Africa? Absolutely. Are there Brews from Ephraim in West Africa? The Imohoim? Absolutely. But we have to make sure that we're talking about the right bus, right? We're talking about specifically the Brews that came from Spain and Portugal that are of the tribe of Judah. And the reason why we know specifically that we came from those Brews and that those were the Brews that got onto the transatlantic slave ships has to do with the laws, and it has to do with the Lancados who were running the transatlantic slave trade in West Africa. Just to talk about this real quick, fam, there's this thing called the Manuelian Ordinances. The Manuelian Ordinance were the laws that governed the transatlantic slave trade from the Portuguese perspective. Remember, the Portuguese were the ones that were running it. They were the ones that were sending the Lancados inland to work with the African chiefs to get the people. And now the Lancados were operating by the Manuelian laws. Manuelian laws were authorizing the Brews to be taken captive. If you have a chance, fam, check out the Hidden Hebrews King David II video, or the King David II presentation, which talks about these Lancados, which talks about the Manuelian laws. This is one of the primary reasons why we know that the transatlantic slave trade wasn't random. It was targeted, and that the tribe of Judah was primarily the ones that were taken onto the slave ships, or the house of Judah was primarily the ones that were taken onto the transatlantic slave ships. Why was the tribe of Judah taken onto the transatlantic slave ships? Because they had a prophecy that they had to fulfill. Hallelujah. Not only that, fam, but if you have taken a DNA test and have uploaded your results to My True Ancestry or GEDmatch, the answer of who you are is listed in your DNA results. For example, if you go to GEDmatch and go to the MDLP World 22 calculator and look at your single population results, if you have Limba as your closest genetic match, you are from Judah, or you are from the house of Judah. Or if you go to mytrueancestry.com, go to your results located on the analysis summary section and select modern populations to view your closest modern day population matches. And if your top genetic population match is Limba, then you are of the tribe of Judah or the house of Judah. Why is that? Well, the Limba know exactly where and when they came from in Israel. They know that they were exiled into Babylon by King Nebuchadnezzar, who took the house of Judah into exile in roughly 587 to 589 BC. Babylon took the kingdom into captivity during that time, not the northern kingdom. That's a historical fact. Also, the book of Nehemiah and Ezra lists the families who returned from the Babylonian captivity. And the Limba's forefather of Senna is literally listed in the Bible. Not only that, the Limba know that they descend from the southern kingdom Brews who refused to divorce their wives, their strange wives, when they returned back to Jerusalem. The Bible explicitly tells us what tribes these men were from. Let's go to the book of Ezra, chapter 10, and we're going to read down to verse 9, but let's start at verse 1 to get some context. And it reads, "Now when Ezra had prayed and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down before the house of Yah, there assembled unto him out of Israel a very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore. And Sheshaniah the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, We have trespassed against our Yah, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing." Let's drop down to verse 9 to see where these men are from. What tribes these men are from. And it reads, verse 9, "Then all the men of Judah, and Benjamin gathered themselves together unto Jerusalem within 3 days." Well, there we go, fam. The men of Judah and the men of Benjamin. Now, where did we see the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, fam? That would be the Brews of Spain and Portugal. And let's just reread this reference that we read at the beginning of this session. And it reads, "The Western Jews pretend, moreover, that some of the most considerable families of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin went and settled in Sephard or Spain." So again, we're seeing the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. Let's just reread one more reference to drive the point home. And we're going to read on the right side, and it reads, "At a conference held in Aragon," this is in Spain, "before the anti-pope in 1414, this number was also given by the Jews. Abarbanel afterwards gave the same number, but divided it into 40,000 families of Judah and 10,000 families of Benjamin and the priests." So, of course, fam, you can see that Judah was the largest family in Spain. Hallelujah. All right, fam. So your closest DNA matches the Limba, who are from the house of Judah, and it matches the Brews in Spain, who also state that they are from the house of Judah. You got it, fam? This is DNA fact. This is why you are not Dan. This is why you are not Gad, and why you are definitely not Ephraim. Let's keep it real, fam. The narrative that so-called black people are from Ephraim is purely an Ashkenazi Jew narrative. Whenever Ashkenazi Jews induct so-called black Jews or black people into their fold, they almost always refer to them as the Northern Kingdom. They assign them to the tribes of Dan and Gad.
So
Yeah,
it's
because
your
they saying
comment
they
is
do.
timely. So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. you are saying that the Igbo people have lost their identity because
Contact with their God, with their maker, with their origin.
okay, how do we know? We were this week, Abraham, we were in the place called Ibugad,
Obugad,
the place, the palace of God.
Yes.
So some things there. How do we know? If you are to tell me succinctly, how do we know? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God?
Of course, we believe that we are ancestors of the tribe of God. Let me make it more clearer. Just like you rightly said before, that even after the dispersion of the children of Israel, that the 10 tribes, that there were other tribes that deflated to Judah.
That's right.
And that is to say,
A portion.
Judah is a mixture of other tribes.
That's right.
Good. Now, when you come to this very part of the world that where the Igbos do exist, yes, we are called the tribe of God because the first person to enter here among all the tribes is God Himself. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah. We have the tribe of Judah. We have the tribe of Judah. We have the tribe. So many
The tribe of
like
God,
that. And Levi in this very place.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
so but the all put together, like we have already said most of the time, that inside every Jew is the 12 tribe.
Absolutely.
So we are made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria.
I understand
You do,
that.
Gustavo,
But
they
there's
talk
some
like you.
uniqueness here that we
Don't
cannot,
people that talk like you
ignore
telling
with
me.
the tribe of God. But there's some uniqueness here that we cannot ignore with the tribe of God. But there's some uniqueness here that we cannot ignore with the tribe of God.
The tribe of Gad family. Really? Come on now. Are you from the tribe of Gad? Are you from the tribe of Dan or the house of Ephraim? Did you know, fam, that many so-called Negroes today have Spanish and Portuguese Jew surnames and don't even know it? In fact, they're called by the Spanish and Portuguese Jew surname Negro and don't even know why. When they run their DNA reports, they have Spanish and Portuguese Jews who themselves say they are from the house of Judah show up in their DNA family match list and don't even know why. Let's keep it 100, fam. Did you know that the Igbo and the Yoruba are not your closest DNA match in Africa? The people in Africa who your DNA matches the closest to is not the Igbo, it's not the Yoruba, it's the Limba, who are from the house of Judah. Now, I'm referring to your genetic distance value. And your genetic distance value will tell you if someone is your closest family or if someone is your distant relative. So per your genetic distance value, the Limba are your closest.
I need to mute their mic. Thanks.
Relative. So remember, family, it was Judah who was scattered to the four corners of the earth per the scriptures. So therefore, we should not be surprised that we, who were scattered to the four corners of the earth, closely match a people in Africa who say they are from the house of Judah. In fact, the places in Africa where your DNA has the highest concentration are the places where the Portuguese Jews settled, who say they are from the house of Judah. You got to catch this, fam. Your DNA also has the highest concentration in a place literally called the Kingdom of Judah. That's a place in Africa, fam, where your DNA has one of the highest concentrations. The place called the Kingdom of Judah. The place also called the Slave Coast, a place where transatlantic slaves were taken from. As the following reference reads, and reads that John III, King of Portugal, sent a colony there above 200 years before, whom though the unwholesome air destroyed, yet the place was not left desolate, for he sent new inhabitants, who first settled Guinea, next Angola, and lastly on the island of St. Thomas, that so they might be better used to the air, that the said king sold all those Jews for slaves that refused to embrace the Roman religion, and caused their children to be baptized, from whom coming there in great numbers, most of the present inhabitants were descended. And the next reference reads, the old writers called it Judah, and its inhabitants were said to be Jews, while the neighboring river Alala, whose real name is Ephra, became the Euphrates. During the flourishing days of the slave trade, from 16 to 18,000 were annually transported from Ajuda, as the Portuguese called this place, which at the time had a population of 35,000. And yes, Ajuda means help, and Ajuda also means Judah. So keep this in mind, family, that the kingdom of Judah was also called Dahomey. Now, whether it's called the kingdom of Judah, the slave coast, or Dahomey, it was known that the tribe of Judah had many settlements in that region, which is why your DNA is found there in one of the highest concentrations in Africa. As the following reference reads, the eye dwells with delight upon the numerous country villages, like the 115 towns of the tribe of Judah, and upon the thin forest of palms rising from the tapestry of herbage, here waving, they're cut short, which combine to make this spot the Freitas, or paradise of the homeland. You see, fam, the Ashkenazi are quick to switch your name tag because they claim the tribe of Judah for themselves, even though their skulls are brachiocephalic, and the ancient Judean skulls in the city of Judah.
He said that the Ashkenazis is claiming to be Judah.
Even though they don't match the depiction of Judah,
saying, you know, I had to get my little
belief in the
every
London
couple of
Museum,
minutes, somebody got to say something, right? Is that how it go? Every couple of minutes, right? All right, so you know, maybe somebody else say something next couple.
Yeah. You know, I have a lot of information on this too, like, you know what I'm saying, from different sources as well. When you brought up fact about Judah, you know what I'm saying, in West Africa. You know what I'm saying? The interesting thing is that me and my brother, and we might do a recap on that one. Me and my brother had this big old beef about, you know what I'm saying, the genetics. And he was trying to, you know, argue that, you know what I'm saying, that we come from West Africa and that we're not Israelites. And then I have pointed out that the Oyo Yoruba, the Igbo, you know what I'm saying, Bantu and Limba tribes. And then after that debate, my brother went and said, well, we're gonna settle this by doing our DNA. So since me and my brother are the same father and mother, my brother goes to ancestry.com and does the DNA, and sure enough, we got J1 haplo on our paternal side, yo. You know what I'm saying? And I said, my brother, I said, you know that means I technically won the debate, right? J is for Jew. Well, nigga, that's the Kohanim. You know, my brother couldn't argue with it.
Is that the same one that the Limba have? The same marker they have?
So you got the E1B1, you got E1B1B, E1B1A, and then you have the J1 haplos that even many Jews from even Europe have, but you can see this found mostly in Ethiopia and even in West Africa from the Assyrian expulsions. You know what I'm saying? The Assyrian and Babylonian expulsions. So if you go to the Oyo Yoruba, I'll show that stuff after we finish this video. I'll show you the the 3 slides that I used in that debate with my brother that actually supports everything that this person is saying in your video. And these are separate sources by scholars.
This is not my video. This is Benaya Israel video. Y'all can go check him out.
Got you. So yeah, man, this is all.
What I understand, hey Zion, what I don't understand is when they say you're West African. Okay, so what do you mean by that? It's different tribes and different little clans. What? Right. Then when you show them how the pattern of how Israelites got there, so then you be like, okay, well, are they West Africans? And they say no.
See, here's the problem: is that most people have a problem understanding that geographic regions have a multiplicity of ethno groups. You know what I'm saying?
No, they can't be that slow, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of Israelites do that too, because when you talk about Ethiopia, even though there's like maybe 20% of all the 85 different ethno groups of Ethiopians claim to be of Israelite descent from different tribes, you know what I'm saying? They'll be like, oh no, Ethiopia was spoken about in the Bible and this, that, and the other, and the Ethiopia is this, that. So they always try to group everybody by their geographic region. And this is the mistake that most people make, because even living here in America, we know that everybody who lives here ain't of the same ethno group because we live in the same geographic region. That's stupid.
Right.
It's stupid to assume that.
So, it don't make, we you West African. Okay, so
you know how many different tribes in West Africa?
Right. I mean, you gotta be.
That ain't saying too much of nothing.
That ain't saying nothing. It don't make sense. And that's how we like Google. Okay, so then when we show that there was Israelites in West Africa, I said, well, Google, you're an Israelite. No, I'm not. I said, well, ain't they from West? Ain't they? When you've been living there for so long, like, you're a citizen there, however you want to put it. Like, if you come over from another country and you gotta, you be over for 7 years, you consider yourself an American now. And then
you establish residence.
You're right.
You know how you kill that argument? The same way Hitler did when he was searching for Jews, you know what I'm saying, to throw in the internment camps. He asked them if they had a circumcision. If you got the mark of the Jew, you a Jew, nigga. I don't give a hell what the hell you say.
Was he searching for the Israelites, the black Israelites, or was he searching for Ashkenazi Europeans? Which one was he searching for?
Yeah, because one uses their mouth and the other one doesn't do that. We don't play that in Wakanda. But the reality is that, you know what I'm saying, circumcision, like with the debate that I had, who did I have this argument with? I talked about the somebody was arguing against me about the marks that they could distinguish different tribes from, and they call them tribal scars. So certain tribal scars, you could tell what tribe and what area of, even in West Africa, there was different tribes that had different tribal scars. But guess what? Circumcision is considered a tribal scar that identify the people. So when they talked about the slaves that came on the ship and identified them by their tribal scars, what they did not do is talk about, the distinguishment of any of them and their different tribal scars. They said, well, we know who they are by their tribal scars. But they didn't tell you. They just called them Negroes. They clumped them all up in one group. And that's the problem here.
Yeah, but some of the people that came over on the ship, they documented, they got Israelite names, don't they, JT?
It's a straight fact. You can't even argue that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what these dudes be talking about over there at Science for Sean. See, Sean, we got real information over here. All y'all want to do is troll. That's not how you build a channel up, brother.
But
right,
my question, quick point. My question is, if the truth of who you are has been hidden for centuries, and now you delivering the real facts to our people, where they got some understanding of knowing who they are now, why would anybody try to discredit that?
Because we West Africans. But then you saw, we got people in West Africa too that we descend from. Okay, so what's...
Yo, listen,
they accept everybody else, JT. They tribal names. Yeah, he a Masi, and he a Zulu, and all. But then when you...
I'm going to tell you right now, I deal with Ghanaians here in Syracuse that I play drums with. My father was a part of the Oyo Yoruba, Ife Ile, you know what I'm saying? And he believed that he was an Israelite, even being in that religion, and the Lukumi coming from Cuba, you know what I'm saying, who used Christian symbolism to hide their religion, and they did circumcision and the whole nine, right? And so there's the guy, one of the head chiefs of the drum group that I drum with every now and again, you know what I'm saying, Eche. This brother will tell you straight up that he's a Jew. He comes
Hey,
straight
look,
from.
hey, look, though, these guys be sitting up here trying to act like, I mean, they whole hookup, man, is just bent on berating and downgrading and down talking black people who wants to follow the Jewish religion, the Jewish history, the Hebrew way of life. That's all they bent around, brother. I'm over there listening to Homeboy show, and you got Lord Abba on there, and he's talking and talking. His whole hookup is just all them niggas over there. Their whole hookup is just to preach against people who's trying to find their way. You know what I'm saying? What they not doing is showing them the way. They not teaching the way. They not teaching. Whatever they claim to believe in, whether it be more, Kemet, this and that, they not teaching that, bro.
Right.
They're not teaching Moore's lessons. They're not teaching Kemetic lessons. They're not teaching atheist lessons. They're not teaching Gnostic lessons. They just bent on just stop telling people.
All they doing is trying to tear down, but they ain't got nothing to build back.
They ain't got nothing. They don't have nothing to offer black people. But you not an Israelite. You not a Moor. You not a Muslim. You not a this. You not. That's all they got to offer. And their whole platform is built around destroying that.
Being a contrarian.
And the sad part about it is that you niggas is not destroying nothing. All you doing is exposing the world to us, and they come over here to us.
And for a dummy like Garfield to say that the white man is the real Jew. Now I'm gonna say this, man. When has these Fakensteins ever bring any documents of proof that they the people this book talking about? When?
Hey, but look at this clown ass nigga Lord Abba. I'm gonna call him out. I won't even holler at the red man because he's a clown. I'm gonna tell you about clown.
Wait, he in the audience?
No, he over on Sarnetta show. Look at this nigga. Look at this nigga. He want to tell you ain't a Jew, you ain't an Indian, you ain't a Muslim. And he want to act like he around blackness, but this clown ass nigga got a Semitic name and they don't believe the Semites is black. Man, get the fuck out of here. You's a clown, nigga. Lord Abba, dude, stop it, nigga. Lord is European and Abba is either Arabic or Hebrew, my nigga.
As Afro-Semitic.
Call that nigga Lord of Darkness.
But it's sad because to them clowns, you hear what I'm saying? Semites are not black.
That's a lie. See, one of the things that these people miss out on is transmigration.
It's a lie. It's a lie in what they're saying.
They worse than the people that they trying to argue against, because there are a lot of people who don't really truly understand how the Most High, you know what I'm saying, created man, and then man dispersed from Eden, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, and I'm using that, you know what I'm saying, figuratively, you know what I'm saying, but Eden was at the base of the Blue Nile, even according to the Bible. And so even if you go to Exodus is talking about a transmigration story. All through the Bible, you see transmigration through Genesis, all the way through Numbers, all the way through Deuteronomy, the whole nine. There's transmigration going on. And this is supported by anthropological scientists. People who are in anthropology know that the earliest civilizations that formed at the Nile, and Judaism is in fact a Nile Valley civilization, no different than any of the other religions that formed even after it.
My request to all Israelites, man, all Israelites, is when you talking to naysayers and dissenters, bro, and they got something that they want to say to you, make these suckers prove what they got to say. Make them prove it.
That's right.
I mean, hold them to it. And if they don't prove what they got to say, walk the fuck out of their face, bro.
Source up. These cats are coming with conjecture the whole time.
Let them niggas know, if you can't prove everything you say to me, nigga, I don't respect nothing you gotta say.
Right. And when you source up and shoot them down with some sources, the first thing they want to do is try to diminish you and then ad harm you, but never bring.
They want to shoot down. They want to shoot down your sources. They want to shoot down your sources and don't bring none.
It's trash. It's trash argument.
Well, hey, check this out. Now, as you can see, you're gonna see some Israelites on the wall right here. So let's get to this part.
You got Google Scholar sitting up there lying, telling me on my page that my video is lies, but the video, every video that I have, every piece of information that I put out is by high prestigious collegiate doctorate sources, my nigga.
Right.
And you can't shoot that down, dummy.
Google is a top troll in the community.
This nigga gonna sit up there and say that the Hyksos ain't black, and we looking at the Egyptian hieroglyphics of the Hyksos that were all different colors, and most of them was jet skillet black. Y'all remember that? That's in Egypt. Then he gonna say I am mixing all the people up. Motherfucker is on the wall mixed up. You got a red nigga, a black nigga, a brown nigga. I didn't mix that up. The wall did, you clown.
Yeah. Hey, let's kind of restrain on the MF. We got some kids watching, family. But you know what I'm saying. But I feel it. But let's start the video back up, Kareem.
My son is not. My son.
Even though the ancient skulls of Judah
were
identified and classified as
hey man, I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, to the kids, I'm sorry, kids.
Not family.
I'm just getting mad at these
someone is
suckers.
attempting to steal your identity again. And with that, fam, let's take a closer look. Okay, fam, let's get into it. So what's this thing about Black Germany? And more importantly, why should you care? Well, if you have taken a DNA test and uploaded your results to mytrueancestry.com, which compares your DNA to ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites, well, fam, now would be a good time to bring up your My True Ancestry DNA report. And once you've logged on, click on Maps and Globes, then navigate to Germany as seen on the screen. And the first thing you'll notice is that many of you so-called Negroes have DNA matches in Germany, mostly Southern Germany. Now, why in the world would so-called Negro DNA be found in Southern Germany? In the place where the Jews lived. That's right, fam. So let's take a look at a map to see exactly where the Jews of Southern Germany lived.
It showed up on mine, yo. German, Spain,
this
Portugal.
Is a map.
It all showed up on mine.
Yeah, that's what I want Yashar to speak on too. How his
Yeah. Jay-Z, which is part, is Jewish because of the J1, and then when they add that, you know what I'm saying, that subclade, it's called a subclade. You know what I'm saying? The M86, that's Spain, Portugal, and the areas where you see a concentration of Jews in southern Eurasia. Yep.
Now check this out, Zion.
My DNA, bro.
Check this out, Zion. Now I'm gonna let you know something about that J1. Don't harp on that so hard.
I'm not harping.
It's important, but don't harp on it so hard for the simple fact
it's still a part of my it's still my paternal. It's
important. Hear me out. It is important. So you ain't got to fight me. It is important, but don't harp it out so hard because of the simple fact that there are many non-Jewish people that have the J1. Hear me out, brother. Hear me out. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you and give you some more power to add to your arsenal. Now, what makes your J1 unique and key, and to all people that are J1 that are Jews, is that they have about 20% E1B1A in them. And it is that E1B1A that is in them that connect that J person to the Jews, man.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why Ethiopia and Eritrea came up on my ancestry.com. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Ethiopia.
All J1s that have E1B1A are Jews, even the white ones. The white Jews have 20% E1B1A, bro, or E1B1B.
Yeah.
When you have those J1s that don't have that, it's gonna be the error.
This was one of the locations of the early settlements of Israelites in Germany. And note that Bavaria is divided into Upper and Lower Bavaria. Now, the next place of interest on the map is highlighted in dark brown, called the Palatinate. This is also a location of early Israelite settlements in Germany. So fam, let's keep these Israelite settlements in mind when we review our My True Ancestry DNA results. Israelite settlements in Bavaria and Israelite settlements in the Palatinate. Now, let's read about the Jews of Bavaria to better understand your DNA results. And for that, let's go to the Jewish Virtual Library, which describes the Bavarian Jews. As the following reference reads, Bavaria, land in southern Germany, including Franconia. Jews are first mentioned there in the Passau toll regulations of 906. Here we go, fam, check it out. It says, their settlement was apparently connected with the trade routes to Hungary. Let's read that again. It says, their settlement was apparently connected with the trade routes to Hungary. Why is that important? Well, to answer that question, let's go back over to your My True Ancestry page to look at your map of Germany. And when we take a look at your map, we confirm that you indeed have a match in Bavaria, in both Lower and Upper Bavaria. But just as this reference states, you also have matches in Hungary that you can see over to the right. So over to the right, you should see a cluster of matches in Hungary, where the trade routes of the Jews in Bavaria have connections to. So fam, you literally have DNA to prove that you match that reference 100%. But wait fam, we haven't finished the sentence. Let's go back to our reference. Let's read our sentence again. It says, their settlement, this is referring to the Jews of Bavaria, it says, their settlement was apparently connected with the trade routes to Hungary. And we just confirmed that we have DNA connections in Hungary. But the next one, it says Southern Russia. Southern Russia? Well, let's go back over to our My True Ancestry DNA report and let's zoom out a little bit and let's go over to Russia. And if you notice, in Russia, most of you don't have matches in Northern Russia, but you have a bunch of matches, you guessed it, in Southern Russia, just as described by the Jewish Virtual Library family. You are matching this reference 110%. But wait, fam, we have one more location to match on the reference. Let's go back on the Jewish Virtual Library and let's finish out our sentence. And it says, their settlement was apparently connected with the trade routes to Hungary, Southern Russia, and it says, and northeastern Germany. So you guessed it, fam. Let's go back over to our My True Ancestry report. Let's pull up our map of Germany again, and let's take a look. And you'll notice that you have a match in northeastern Germany. Northeastern Germany. You see, fam, you are the people. You match this reference 110%. Now, fam, let's finish out this reference by dropping down to the second paragraph, and it reads, in 1442, the Jews were again expelled from Upper Bavaria. Now, notice that
it's starting to robot.
This was around the time the Jews of Spain and Portugal were being persecuted as well, fam. But you can see that this persecution in Germany happened before they expelled in Spain. So keep that in mind. All right, so it says, in 1442, the Jews were again expelled from Upper Bavaria. Shortly afterwards, in 1450, the Jews in Lower Bavaria,
man, they doing that on purpose
until they paid Duke a ransom of 32.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What he just said, because
you see that though? Yeah, I couldn't even.
He's starting
you know, a robot out of important party is about to say and start roboting.
He called the robot. Called the Matrix in Clubhouse.
Right. I'm calling the robot. That's what they did.
No doubt. So yeah.
We We over here
that's
talking
very
too
important
much.
information, and I can't remember
Right.
the name of it, but there's a video called Reclaiming the Throne, right? And this video is basically another Israelite, you know what I'm saying, group that actually does a very good breakdown of the historical evidence and scholastic research, you know what I'm saying, stating exactly what this brother is stating right here in this video. And
Right.
and in that video, he actually discourses his discourse is about there was an issue in Portugal and Spain, which was like right around the time of the expulsion of the Moors. See, what most people think is that the Moors, all of the Moors were Islamic. You know what I'm saying? But that's not true. A lot of the Moors practiced a form of Judaism. You know what I'm saying? And there was this massacre, and I cannot remember the name of it. It was like because it was like in Latin or whatever how they pronounced it, but it basically was
Auto defay.
It was in English. It was called the Massacre of Judah.
But what they do, the Catholic Church would burn people in front of the if you didn't convert.
Yeah.
It's called
Right.
auto defay.
And that's what was going on in Spain and in Portugal at that time, and that was in the 1400s.
Right.
Right. Yep. So we go from the 1444 all the way to 1496, I believe he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a huge push to force people.
Why is it that we all come to this conclusion when we read this stuff? We don't study together. Ain't now one of us studied together, but yet and still when we do this research, we come to this same point. Why, man?
I'm not one who searches for information that's confirmation bias. I search for the opposite oftentimes, and I end up finding
ain't now one of us studied together, man, and we set out on the path to find the truth, bro, and we ended up at the same spot, bro. Ain't nobody directing us. How do we get there? We not stupid. Go ahead, man. I'm gonna fall back. I'm kind of upset, bro.
So what did they say that Mosai? Because I heard them say that most of our names came from what is that?
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto North Hamilton Street.
Oh, hold on. Don't mind that. But what I heard them say that most of our names come from somewhere. Did y'all remember that?
From Spanish origin.
Spanish origin. Okay.
You gotta remember that.
Can I say something? He said the word Negro already means black. And people say Negro, but we say Negro. It's the same word. It means black. So they were calling us Negros when we was in Spain and in Portugal. That's what they were calling us.
In Spain, the word Moor also had similar connotation. Now, you know what I'm saying, my brother Commission will go back to the origins of the word even further than you know what I'm saying, than the European translations of the word. However, when the Europeans used that term, it also had similar derogatory connotations like darkness, mire, mere, like when you say muerta in Spanish means dead, right? And so that Moor word was very prolific even in Europe and Spain. They might have had different ways of interjecting how they felt about it, you know what I'm saying, with their Negrophobias and stuff. But you know, Commission can go a little bit more in depth about the origins going back to Egypt, you know what I'm saying? But that word Moor and Negro, you know what I'm saying, share commonalities. So,
but the brother said that we had most of us have Spanish names that trace, that trace back to Spain and stuff. The part about, see, you got to know how to weave through and and find the truth and weave out the misinformation. Most of us do not have Spanish names today. Most of us have Anglo-English names today.
That's
Johnson, that's English.
Yeah,
Smith,
yeah,
that's English, man.
Street.
Taylor,
Yeah, 'cause I wanted
that's
to say something about
English,
that. When I
man.
looked up the origin of my name, it was a Jewish name. That's why I asked it.
My family's maternal name is Gober. That's Hebrew, bro. That's straight Jewish.
Yeah, they said my name True Heart comes
Take
from
the next right onto North
True
Hamilton
Hurt.
Street.
Did the video end, Karima?
No,
Nah, it didn't. It still got about 20 more minutes left.
Okay, yeah, it's almost over. Let's finish it out.
Okay, come.
Thousand crowns and were then driven from the duchy. As a result of agitation by the Franciscan John, they were expelled from Franconia. In 1479, they were expelled from Passau. In 1499, from Nuremberg. In 1519, from Regensburg. The few remaining thereafter in the Duchy of Bavaria were expelled in 1551. Subsequently, Jewish settlement in Bavaria ceased until toward the end of the 17th century, when a small community was formed in Sobach by refugees from Vienna. In other words, there were replacement Jews that came from Italy and started settling in Germany. Okay, fam, you might want to put that seatbelt on. It gets a little bumpy from here. You see, the road we're taking is unpaved road. So let's begin. So for our journey, to understand where we're going, you have to understand where we've been. We showed how so-called Negro DNA perfectly matched the history of the Jews in Bavaria, Germany, showing related DNA matches in Hungary, southern Russia, and northeast Germany. Now, before we discuss the history of the Jews in northeast Germany, let's take a brief look at the people living in southern Germany, in the territory of the Jews called the Palatinate. Did they look like the modern day white Jews of Germany today? Or were they black? As the following reference reads, and it reads, differing originally in language, though even the oldest of the present generation know nothing of the German tongue, spoken or written, as well as in race and religion from the natives among whom they were planted. These Palatines still cling together like the members of a clan and worship together. It says most of them have a distinctly foreign type of features and are strongly built, swarthy in complexion, dark-haired, and brown-eyed. So you see, fam, most of the Palatine are swarthy in complexion. This is confirmed by Benjamin Franklin in 1751 in a paper titled Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind. In his paper, Benjamin Franklin voices his support for a white America and a banning of the so-called black people in America. One of the black groups he wanted to ban from America were the swarthy Palatines of southern Germany. As the following reference reads, and it reads, and since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places at home soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? Which leads me to add one other remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. So in other words, fam, he's saying America is tawny, Asia's Tawny, and Africa's Tawny. Let's keep reading, fam. It says, and in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and the Swedes are generally of what we call, listen, a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also. What? Well, I thought the Germans were white. Well, according to Benjamin Franklin, the Germans were a swarthy complexion. But we'll come back to this, fam. But let's keep reading. It says, the Saxons only accepted who, with the English, make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. What? Fam, you got to get this. It says, the Saxons only, along with the English, they make up the principal body of the white people on the face of the earth. Now, this is according to Benjamin Franklin. Now, you have to wonder, family, what was Benjamin Franklin talking about when he's implying that the only white people during this time were the English people and the Saxons? That says a lot, fam, because the Saxons were, not only were they in England, they were also in northern Germany. But let's keep reading, fam, because according to Benjamin Franklin, the Germans were swarthy. All right, let's keep reading. It says, I could wish their numbers were increased. And while we are, as I may recall it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods and making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars and Venus. Listen, fam, it says, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all of increasing the lovely white and red? But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my own country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Now, either Benjamin Franklin was drunk and had too much moonshine, he's telling a truth that very few people know about today, that only the Saxons and the English made up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. It's interesting, family, because as I said before, the Saxons are in North Germany, where the Jews are indeed white. As the following reference reads, and it reads, we need go no further than the Jews of southern Spain and compare them with those of Holland and, listen, fam, it says, northern Germany, to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexion, and his hair.
JT said he in the back. The back is okay. There you go. All right.
Hair is uniformly black, while the German Jew is often as fair as any German and has light or red hair with blue eyes. Now, we're going to come back to that red hair, blue eyes. So just keep that in the back of your mind, fam. Red hair and blue eyes. That's associated with these Jews in northern Germany. All right, well, let's go back to our reference here, fam. Benjamin Franklin, in his paper, states he wants to exclude all blacks and tawnies from America. I'm sorry, fam. Did they teach us this in school? Did you know that Benjamin Franklin did not want the so-called black man in America? That he wanted white America? That he didn't want any swarthy Jeremy Palatine? But I thought that all Germans were white. What's Benjamin Franklin talking about? What's this reference referring to swarthy Palatines talking about? Well, fam, this is referring to the fact that at one time, Germany was black. This is supported and confirmed by anthropologists and DNA. When examining ancient remains, anthropologists noted that Germany changed from a dolichocephalic people to a
dolichocephalic. That's stop right there.
In other words, they saw that the white skulls eventually
dolichocephalic. That's the word I was trying to say, Terry, the other day. Dolichocephalic. It's like the measurement of your skull, right? Remember that, Terry? Okay, he ain't on cue. But that's what I was trying to say the other day. That's how you say it, y'all. All right, go ahead, Sister Grim.
Place the black skulls. As the following reference reads, and it reads, dolichocephalic. Such skulls are called dolichocephalic, and are typical of Australian Aborigines, that's the Black Australians, and native Southern Africans. And the next reference reads, German anthropologists agree that the average cephalic index of Southern Germany had changed from dolichocephalic to brachiocephalic in the Iron Age. Now note, fam, that anthropologists agree that brachiocephalic replaced dolichocephalic. In addition, DNA analysis have even pinpointed the group who brought white skin and red hair into Europe. It's the DNA of a group of people who invaded Europe from the Caucasus Mountain. As the following reference reads, and it reads, R1 populations spread genes for light skin, blonde hair, and red hair. And it reads, the principal Proto-Germanic branches of the Indo-European family tree is R1b S21. And it dropped down to the next paragraph and says, the presence of R1b S21 in other parts of Europe can be attributed almost exclusively to the Germanic migrations that took place between the 3rd and 10th centuries. Family. This quote gets into the overall history of Germany, which we'll talk about briefly here. So in general, modern day historians agree that modern day Germans came from somewhere else. In other words, historians agree that many modern day Germans aren't the original Germans. These German invaders are described by Tacitus as red hair and blue-eyed invaders. Remember, we talked about the Jews being red hair and blue eyes. Remember that, fam? These are the people who conquered Rome, took over rulership, and made themselves the kings and queens and became the head of the new Holy Roman Empire. So basically, the Red Dragon came under new management. These dramatic invaders took over Germany, Spain, Portugal, France, and England. Basically, they took over Europe. Now, keep in mind, family, these red-haired, blue-eyed invaders were the same people who expelled Spanish and Portuguese in 1492. If you look at the pictures of King and Queen of Spain, some pictures portray them as red-haired Christian monarchs. These Germans were called us in Spain, in France, and Germany, and the Saxons in England. Different names, same people. Red hair, blue eyes was their mark of distinction, just as the color red was the mark of distinction of the Red Dragon. It's deep, fam. When you talk about the people who placed many of the so-called Negroes on the transatlantic slave ships, you're talking about the red-haired, blue-eyed people. They literally started the transatlantic slave trade. These people who came from the Caucasus Mountains are synonymous with Esau, a people who lived by the sword and conquered the world. The people in the Bible who had a perpetual hatred for his brother Jacob, Israel. In a recent YouTube post, I pointed out that if you look at the pictures of those who have committed the most heinous massacres against the so-called Negro in the United States, you'll find a lot of red-haired, blue-eyed perpetrators. This includes the latest massacre in Buffalo. However, that's a story for another day, fam. The main takeaway here is that these red-haired, blue-eyed people have been persecuting swarthy black folks for a very, very long time. With that said, fam, let's talk about the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the Holy Roman Empire, at its heart, you'll find Germany. Its secular princes ruled from within the Palatinate, the very place where the Jews lived. And when we look at the family crest of the people living in Bavaria and the Palatinate, we find pictures of black people. So most high willing, we will take a closer look into this in part 2 of Black Journey. So for now, family, we will end part 1. I know that we've covered a lot of information today. However, we needed to lay the foundation for our journey into Black Germany and our eventual journey into the end times, the revealing of Esau, and what to expect in these last days. So Israel, stay blessed, and please like, comment, and share this video. Thank you to those who continue to support this work. So peace, love, and blessings, Israel. Stay blessed, and shalom.
All right. That was a lot of good information, man. Y'all sure? Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, I got
Yeah, this
so go ahead, brother. I got a PowerPoint, my slides I was going to show. But go ahead, brother.
Okay, and then I got a 30-minute video that he's talking about the last part he was talking about. Okay, check it out.
No, I ain't got nothing to say, man. I'm just sitting back over here listening, enjoying y'all while I'm over here clowning these suckers over here on Facebook in the Kemet versus Israel group, clowning the stew out of them.
Hey, okay, all right, security, stay on them, man, because they always coming for us. You know, it's all good.
I keep my foot in the goddamn neck.
Yeah.
If Karima could share my screen,
yeah, go ahead, bro.
So this is going to support exactly what this brother just said, because I never saw this video a day in my life. This is the first time I ever seen this.
Hey, go check out the brother's page, B'nai Yisrael. Yeah, he got some good information.
Yo, and I told you, Jay, I know somebody in Atlanta where he at, and when I get a hold of him, I'm gonna try to get him to come on this platform and do an interview and stuff. If I'm gonna try my best, no doubt.
The only little complaint I have about him is that he have all these sources, but he need to tell us exactly where he getting them from. You know what I mean? That would help. I mean, other than that, he's doing great. I think he do name his sources in his like you know how they name the sources in his chat at the end of the show. You can go look at where he find this information. I think you can do that.
So
you there, Zion?
Yeah, sorry. So I was talking with my mic.
Okay.
So this right here was the slide that I did with my brother, my biological brother. You know what I'm saying? He was arguing. You know what I'm saying? My brother's an atheist. You know what I'm saying? And so this right here, I'm gonna go over here so I can read it for y'all, and then I'm gonna maximize this map over here so y'all can see the genetics. You know what I'm saying? The areas that they came from and everything like that. I'm gonna show y'all this. Brother Yashar just got finished talking about that, the E1B1A and the J and the whole nine. So this is coming from totally separate source that I found months ago. You know what I'm saying? Before I ever watched this video. I never saw this video before today. So this is just supporting evidence. So let's watch this. So it says genetic studies agree that EM35 is the second highest in prevalence next to J when establishing Jewish lineages. This is found in moderate accounts among all Jewish populations that are from Ashkenazi, Sephardic, Kurdish, Yemenite, Samaritan, and Berber Jewish groups. Most geneticists say that the haplogroup E3b M35 seems to have come from East Africa. Remember, I told you all about Ethiopia and Eritrea. From there was carried to the Near East, then North Africa and Europe. Today, it is commonly found in such places as East and North Africa and the Near East around the areas of Mediterranean. The Mediterranean, right? Just got finished talking about that. The haplogroup J, also known as HG9 or EU9, EU10, is a Y chromosome. Remember what they said? He said, what do you say? Cephalic, right? JJ, did he say cephalic? Something cephalic? What does the phallic mean? It's not rocket surgery. That's a Y chromosome. When you say phallic, you're saying phallus. That's paternal. Yes, son. Okay, hold on one second. So let me finish. So genetic mapping shows that the J haplo 1 and 2 are both common in South and Central Europe, as well as the Mediterranean and Africa. The J haplo is thought to be a telltale sign of Jewish ancestry, as well is known as the Kohanim gene, which is the Limba tribe of Ethiopia has, which make them Levites and permitted to make higher Israel children to leave. My son. J1 M267 is the higher concentration in the Middle East, North Africa, and Ethiopia. J2 is found in parts of Africa among Semitic-speaking peoples and Tigray, Amhara, and Roma. So I'm just going to do this real fast. My son is trying to talk to me. So I want to go back here and try to stretch the screen here. Can't stretch it. It's not letting me stretch it. All right. So I can go into this a little bit more. I'm gonna let y'all talk a little bit. Deal with my son. It says right here, even with linguistics and transmigration, which I always talk about. The first sentence right here. This is from another source. Who did Derek Lang, and it says Igbo Bantu use ilu, meaning up, height, above. It goes right into the genetics, right into the Hebrew language and characteristics. But in the center, you can see this map of a transmigration happening, going into West Africa, North Africa, and then from what you call Southern Eurasia, right at the base of the Caucasus Mountains. So all this is nothing that is not substantiated by scientific evidence. Here, this map right here comes from the Encyclopedia Britannica, talking about Afro-Asiatic languages. We just dealt with Afro-Asiatic languages. We talked about transmigration and genetics. So people are coming with their culture, their linguistics, each one after their tongue, after their lands, after their, right? Remember Genesis chapter 10, right? So we see that this shit, it's relative.
Okay, Daddy, done.
All right. My son said I'm finished. I will fall back.
General, your turn. All right, Terry, you got the floor. Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody call for me.
Anybody want to speak on the information or?
Oh no, I'm just listen.
General, you sure?
They all fell off. Yeah, I can't comment. I have my mind halfway in and out, so I wasn't really paying full attention.
Right. So anyway, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. General Richard, you know what I'm saying? He's away from the mic right now. So I can go a little bit, you know what I'm saying, into describing what I was just talking about. So in the maps that I was bringing up, and until someone else wants to interject, you see right here, the map on this side, if y'all see my cursor, this one is coming from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And this is dealing with Afro-Asiatic languages. And look where it goes. This whole green region, you know what I'm saying, is going all the way up to exactly where that video was talking about, at the base of Eurasia. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and you know what I'm saying, you see Spain right here at the top, you know what I'm saying, right by Morocco, and you know what I'm saying, that's northern Africa, right? Look how close that is. One thing that most people don't understand is that even here with the Red Sea, if you're looking at my cursor, circling the Red Sea right here between the Middle East, you know what I'm saying, so-called, and the Horn of Africa, right? Don't you know right here in this area, that is only a 10-mile distance from the Horn of Africa, which is where modern day Ethiopia and Sudan, you know what I'm saying, Eritrea exists today. They didn't have those borders then. They simply called it Ethiopia, Ethiops,
They also called it Sheba. They also called it Cush. Brother Garfield, I will smush your head. You knew you was being disingenuous in that video when you tried to say the Kushite Empire and have nothing to do with modern day Ethiopia. Because I have a whole entirely new map that shows you the entire empire of the Kushites prior to Nubia and Kemet. And it encompasses this whole land. Go back to Genesis chapter 10, Genesis, you know what I'm saying, that talks about the river Havilah, Gihon, Euphrates, you know what I'm saying? We see that they did not consider these lands separated. Nile Valley transmigration, Nile Valley civilizations. So transmigration and early human, you want to say evolution or civilization started here. And then as time went on, people traversed, more and more populace became larger, and people moved upward through the flood, you know, say the movement of that river. Anybody who knows anything about transmigration knows that civilizations follow the movements and bodies of water. Why? Seasons and everything that has a lot to do with those who are you know what I'm saying, nomadic, which most of these tribes and stuff were in the early times prior to them becoming large civilizations. But Ethiopia used to be the lands of the blacks. Understand this, that transmigration was here, right here, where Sinai Peninsula is, but transmigration was also here. And people migrated out of Ethiopia also this way, going outward into the center of Africa. Transmigration wasn't one way, it wasn't stagnant. People didn't just go from Ethiopia to Arabia. Arabians came in, you know what I'm saying? People going all the way up, going all the way back down, going all the way out into West and Central Africa. People just moved around. Wherever the food, the money, and the women were, and the safety was, people traversed. You would have did it too. So let's not do that dumb shit, my brother. I understand what you're saying, but Ethiopia, modern day Ethiopia, does have when I show you the map of the Kushite Empire, you'll see that it actually encompasses from the Horn all the way into Sudan, even into the parts of Egypt, but mainly centered around Southern Arabia and the Horn of Africa. This is where Yemen, Sabia, Sheba, all of these lands in here are biblical and can be established by anthropological evidence. Because if you go to the Yemeni people, you'll see that they share the same traits in genetics as people of North Africa, and they're Jews. Y'all back. So I'm gonna shut up. Anybody else want to get in this? Clarify for the people. Thank you, Sister Karima. I think my job is done.
Yeah, everybody's seeing all the information that he pulling out, whether it was on the video or this brother here. It's clear as day who the people of this book is talking about. Now, to people like Garfield, who want to deny us being the people of the book, nigga, sit your ass down. If you want to proclaim Egypt, nigga, go ahead. But don't take that away from us, man. This is a gift from the Father, man, that we know the truth, man. Now, y'all that want to reject it, hey, that's on y'all. Point blank, that's it.
Brother, you
Generation.
still pause self, sis.
Now go ahead. I was about to say the same thing.
Yashar, you still banging in them chats, or you want to bring a little bit forth to the table?
Yeah, I'm still banging in the chats, man. I ain't been really paying attention, man. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm just over here, man. You know, for that, I might just need to
pointing
go.
out the maps. We pointing out the geography where people want to sit here and deny, you know what I'm saying, or act like, you know what I'm saying, oh, this is all Semitic culture. This is not African culture, and they don't understand.
But the thing about it, it goes back to what I said. You gotta make these clowns, these circus ringling brother ass clown bozo niggas, man. Y'all gotta make these niggas prove what they say. I don't have to prove nothing to you. You dig what I'm saying? I'm solid beans. I got a house with Hebrew name on it. You dig what I'm saying? Yasha Hamalaki bin Israel. I got a fucking car with a Hebrew name on it. I got an ID, a birth certificate, a social security card. I don't have to prove who the fuck I am to you. You must prove these lies you saying to me. Y'all need to be tired of proving stuff to these people. We done proved everything. You niggas got to prove to us that we not now. All right?
Right.
And there's a way, you see how Jabari hold these niggas in a debate where he just make people prove stuff and don't prove shit? That's what we got to do to them. I'm not proving nothing to you. You prove it to me or get the fuck out my face.
Straight facts.
I'm about ready to start slapping the shit out of some of these people, dog. I mean, stupidity is just bliss, dude, and I don't entertain stupidity, dude.
Right. So I'll just say this, man. You know, folks want to be like, oh, well, your peoples wasn't Jews, and you got that from the European and slavery taught
Prove it.
Bible and this, that, and the other. And then when I turn around and say that my great-great-great-grandfather's name was
no, that's where you mess up at. That's where you mess up at. You make them prove what they say. You don't prove what they say. You make them prove. You said I'm not a Jew. You prove it, nigga. How you gonna prove me and you don't even know not one person in my goddamn family? Prove it. You niggas talk dumb, man. You don't tell me who I am. I tell you who I am. This shit don't work like that.
And look, nigga. And look, Garfield, nigga, you claim to be a Jamaican. Nigga, you know what the word Jamaican mean, nigga?
Boras, Clyde. Wait, I sound more.
Yeah, tell that boy, man. The word Jamaican means running water. Boy. Nigga, you don't know shit. How you going to come on here on the platform and tell us we don't know who we are when you niggas don't prove shit? You ain't got no goddamn sources to prove shit. You want to be a clown, nigga? Stay a clown, man. Join the circus, nigga. They accepting applications, nigga.
You got to bring me back to some old freaking Blue Magic songs and shit.
And they got a black circus called the Universal Soul Circus. So you can join that one, nigga. They looking for new clowns.
They accepting applications.
That's funny. All right, let's get through. He got one more 30-minute video we can peek in at. It's 30 minutes.
Yeah, let's go, brother.
Let's get it.
Yo, Jay, I sent you this one too, right?
Yeah, I fell out of the show by mistake. Anyone?
Copyright disclaimer under section 107.
By mistake.
Hold up.
So what's this? The new show?
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes long.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
read this real quick. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right. You ready?
So that when we see the images of monarchs, we don't take them to be the mono-ethnic representation of this society, but the images instead of the people ruled, not the people that were in those societies. So this is a early modern map of England. Note the phraseology that I use here, England and not Britain, since Britain is only a modern creation since 1707. Scotland remained an independent country, even while James I of England, James VI of Scotland was and Scotland. It was still an independent country until Queen Anne. Queen Anne was the first monarch of Britain within a political state. Now, the political state of England, very important, included, during the Tudor period, Wales, because the Tudor people, the Tudor family, were Welsh. The actual name Tudor is a Welsh name. It isn't an English name. And this England, the England of the medieval period being from the 11th century to about 1485, and the early medieval period being from the 5th century, from the decline of the Western Roman Empire, when the Western Roman Empire was ceased to be recognized by Byzantium, the Eastern Roman Empire, in 476. So from 476 to the 11th century is often called the early medieval period. The later medieval period is described as being from the 11th century, from 1066 if you're living in England, to 1485. And the early modern period and the beginning of the Tudor period is described from 1485 up until 1603. And then the early modern period continues to the Stuarts from 1603 all the way into the 18th century. Today we will be focusing on the 11th century up until the 16th century, about 500-year period. So that is the medieval and the Middle Ages, as well as the beginning of the early modern period, the Tudor period. This is a period of history in which there is considerable confusion in understanding. It is a period of history often written about by historians and writers, and it is a period in history in which modern people that live in Britain take their ideas of identity from. It is the period in history where people say that English identity was fashioned, and it is also a period in history where people say that English nationalism was fashioned, and British nationalism too. It is a period in history in which there are considerable myths written about it, and that the reality of English and later British society is not often known, understood, or talked about. So these are the usual suspects, as it were, of the latter part of the period that we are talking about, and somewhat of the earlier part of the period that we are talking about. The medieval English history is peppered by kings and queens. People like William I, the first monarch to rule from 1066, who inherited his throne through conquest and defeating the Anglo-Saxon king Howard Godwinson at the Battle of Hastings, and then went on in the north to drive out pretenders to the English throne and to establish an Anglo-Norman hegemony that lasted for the next 400 or 500 years. Somewhat like that. There's actually more complicated than that, as we'll come to see.
Nah, I think that's the wrong video, man.
Yeah, is this B'nai Israel?
What?
Hold up. Can you stop? What's the
This
name of
is
the video here?
Black England.
By who?
Let me see. The same guy.
Oh, okay. So he gonna be getting to the Black England part. All right.
Yeah, because a lot of the can I say something quick before you run that?
Yeah.
The information this dude's saying right now is off, man. All right.
Well, y'all
So
got-
I think
y'all
he's
got
gonna
my
get to the
attention.
real deep part of it.
Well, y'all got my attention. I just got put on Facebook here. I can't post no more. Clowning the shit out the nigga.
Let's get up for fun and get him out of Facebook. Yeah.
You send you some commissary.
Going hard.
Leave my nigga screaming all the way from Syracuse. Leave my nigga get shot.
Free Yasha B.
All right, start the video back, please. Thank you.
See, within that period, the people who ruled in England, certainly for the first 300 years, claimed their right to rule by not being English.
Yes, I didn't misspeak.
What happened?
That's what I was about to say.
Kareem, we froze up, Kareem.
It's the
We
ops.
going come in here tonight. They don't
Like Michael
they don't
Smith
like
said.
it.
The agents. They're coming to get us.
The bruised and said something they weren't supposed to say today. One of y'all that said something y'all wasn't supposed to say today.
All of it.
Damn, it just went off the air.
Oh, they took us down.
You know what I'm saying? Too much information for him, man. Too much truth.
When we got to talking about that J2E1B1A connection, oh, that was the no-no right there. Long as y'all just keep hollering this and that and this and that without the whole story, oh, we can get away with it. When you tell the whole story, oh, we're gonna have problems.
This is shit they didn't want printed.
Yeah. The revolution will not be televised because they're gonna snatch your ass off the screen.
Listen, they know their kingdom is done.
Hey, is we still on YouTube, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still live. We still live. I was gonna share this one last little video. I mean, not video, but
that
slide.
video went off that quick.
I think.
Or did it freeze?
Yeah.
Karima ain't even on here. She ain't even on.
1 second, man. I'm going to share this one because I want to show something. And most people want to, when these people come up with these arguments, what they don't realize is that history is not stagnant, right?
Hey, before you get into the next one, let Jonathan say what he was going to say. His discrepancy was in the last video, so we won't be all off.
All right.
Yeah, and my discrepancy because King William of England was actually a Negro. All the people that he's really talking about was black that ruled England. Now check this out. We talking about names, right? Surnames and shit.
Yeah.
My surname, which goes all the way back to 1066, that helped help King William fight against the Ottoman Turks, man. And that family, the Taylor family, who was black, was given a piece of land in Kent, England. and they were black. So what
Right.
I'm saying to you is we took down the Roman Empire in 70 AD and we ruled all of Europe. Hear me what I'm saying. We ruled all of Europe for about damn near maybe 1,500 years, bro. 1,600 years before the white man got total control back over in Europe.
Right.
Well,
After
that-
the expulsion of the right. There's an
that-
expulsion that came
that-
of Europe. Right.
That would validate the fact that at one point, at least prior to the 16th century, that black people were actually rulers and monarchs in England.
I would say going back to the 13th and 12th century, you know what I'm saying, there were rulers and monarchs getting back, coming closer to the 14th century.
Yeah.
13th and
Well,
14th. That's
the-
when there was a shift. Yeah, there was a
Yeah, that's
shift.
when it
and
started.
race
It started to
became-
collapse.
Right.
You know, they
And
didn't.
color
They
became a
didn't. They
matter.
didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't completely get rid of all of them until the 16th century, with the creation of Jamestown, when they sent all them black folks that were monarchs over here and down in the Caribbean islands. This is referenced by a great man who I know to be telling the truth, Dr. Clyde Winters. You know what I'm saying? But I was just reading something earlier today where George Washington. It was the first time I paid attention to it. I've been seeing it all week, and I just didn't push it on YouTube. And then I vetted the information. You know what I'm saying? But it was talking about George Washington was possibly black or had black ancestors. And usually when I come across stuff like that,
Yo, Yasha, you know what they told us? I don't know if all this shit is true. When I was in the school,
and let
they
me finish
told
this
us.
real quick. I'll be done real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, because I need to give y'all the information to go check it out. It was George Washington's forefather, one of his grandfathers or something like that. His last name was Maritu or Maritiu. And he was a black man. He was a Moor. And this is substantiated in American records. There's a statue in America. I forget where it was at because this is new information of George Washington standing over with the seal of his ancestor, which was a black man. Here goes the white people connecting themselves to them black coats of arms.
And yo, Terry, Yasha. So what you saying if George Washington's grandfather or family member, one of the family members was black, then who that white boy is? Because that can't be him.
I can't.
Check this out. It's like the picture. One more. The pictures who we see of Abraham Lincoln, that ain't Abraham Lincoln. I seen the actual picture of the real black man. Okay,
I seen a picture of a black Abraham Lincoln, but I'm not sure
that's
that
the
was
real
him.
Abraham Lincoln.
But
believe me when I tell you.
But with this,
so we got to figure out who that white boy is, man.
I
The
mean,
white boy was used to go out and pose for Abraham Lincoln when they needed shit get done because they didn't want to send him out and say, "Who this nigga?" You know what I'm saying? So they would use the white boy who was an actor.
But I think that we need to have sources for this stuff and don't conject this information. You know what I'm saying? Lead us somewhere where we can find this stuff and not to the ISUPK school.
Right.
You know
at
what I'm saying?
At least present it so that people can do a little research on it.
Yeah, because it sounds good, but I just can't give information to people that I can't prove. I'm one of them put up and shut up niggas.
Right,
You know,
disclaimer,
and
but at the same time, look it up and see if you don't come up with
Yeah, you must have proof when you talking to me. You know what I'm saying? You have to, man, because man, you'll embarrass yourself, man, out there running up to people with conjecture, and you can't prove what you say with sources.
Yeah, and this is why sometimes I say, you know what I'm saying, this is you know what I'm saying, this is what I think, and this is what I base my thought on. If I don't have substantive evidence, you know what I'm saying?
Or you can say I believe this. You can say I believe this, and that's a safe place to be in. But when you trying to state something that this is the case, that's what a fact is. When you're saying that this is the case, then pull up the case.
And you gotta substantiate that, right? You gotta support that.
And I'm only telling us that to make us better people, man, because there's too much information that is getting thrown out here. You know what I'm saying? That we say based on our beliefs A belief
Right,
is
and
like
then you
an
got a lot of people,
asshole, man.
and you got a
Everybody
lot
got
of people
one.
just making up stuff and going along. You know what I'm talking about. You got a lot of people just making up stuff and just
Hey,
running with it.
I just had to ban your boy. There will be no discussion on no debate
Yo,
because
Chick,
Oh
I just
man,
sent you a picture of him. Check it
I
out.
don't want to do the smush his head, man. After I smushed his head,
I wanted
man.
to smush his head too, but man,
Who
I'm
you
not
want to
about to
smush,
sit up
man?
there and have
Who
an
you want to
ignorant
smush?
conversation.
The
A
Ron
Jedi
Tillers, you know what I'm
Tillis.
saying? The ego Edomite, the egocentric
Who that
Edomite.
is?
The solipsistic
Ron
clown.
Tillers.
The absurd solipsistic clown.
Yeah, he
You know what I'm
preaches
saying?
that
Now, I'm not
Esau.
about to sit up there and argue with a bunch of absurdities and with a nigga who can't think outside his own head. Come on, man.
That's most niggas, man.
Yeah, you the guy that want me to believe what you say. You ain't got not one source in the goddamn world.
Not
You
one
ain't got a
source.
church member. You ain't got a religious brother. You ain't got a damn pastor, preacher, nobody who descended this information down to you. You ain't got a scholar, a minister, a sheikh. You ain't even got a Satanist or an atheist to back up what you say. Man, I'm not finna have no conversation with you, dog.
That nigga's alone.
You gotta
He's
deserve
all
to talk to me.
alone.
You
Tell
gotta
that
be, you
nigga
gotta be,
it's an
to
honor
put
to
in
talk
some,
to you, bro.
yeah, you
He
gotta
all
be to
alone
put in
like
some
Michael
work to talk
McDonald
to me.
and Patty LaBelle. He all alone.
Yeah, you got me sitting up there arguing with a fool, man. What kind of nigga you think I am?
No, he's fun though,
I
man.
rather,
He's a good
that's
country
not
boy.
fun to me, dog. I'd rather argue with with this motherfucking wall.
Ooh,
Sometimes you gotta check these niggas because they be out here freaking goddamn having
No,
their own
you
little
can't.
videos and
But
trying
see, man, look, bro.
trying to
I
convert
told you the
people.
only time I'm gonna start cussing, bro, is when intellect is thrown out the window. I can't have an intellectual conversation with the fool.
I feel you. Sister Karima, you gonna play the rest of this video? Or did you want me to share my screen? I got one
I'm
little
gonna say
slide.
this. I'm gonna say this
Yeah.
if I never say it again. A wise man told me not to argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who is who. And because a wise man ain't got no business arguing with no goddamn fool. You should write him off as retarded and get the fuck out of his face.
And my Bible taught me to beat the swine.
Jesus said, "Don't cast your pearls before a swine."
That's a fact.
You don't sit up there and argue with no goddamn fool.
You walking amongst too much damn swine. That's the problem.
There's lots of books. People have written made their whole career
let him play the video.
on describing automatically people of color in English society as the other, the stranger, etc. All power to them. I question such automatic rendering. Yep. So, Peter Fryer wrote a book, very interesting book, called Staying Power. And in that book, he described Africans in medieval or Tudor England as being strolling players, isolated, strange, and transient, are the terms that he uses. He's implying that the people of African descent who were present in England before the 17th century are so strange, so transient, and so isolated that they can't actually be given an historical description that explains their identity, their presence, their status, and their origins. Other authors, such as Kim Hall in Things of Darkness, an interesting book in many ways, however, repeats the same notion that Africans in Tudor society are too accidental and solitary to be given an historical statistic. Too accidental and solitary. I don't see how anybody's presence anywhere can be accidental unless if you're there, it's not necessarily, I mean, you can get lost, like Christopher Columbus, but the people that get lost don't tend to be called accidental, even though they are. So I think it is rather presumptuous to presume that people of African descent would automatically be accidental and solitary. automatically individual, and automatically not be in any position either in terms of size, numbers, position, or effectiveness within the narrative they play within English society to be given an historical statistic. It's actually, I'm afraid, a kind of lazy scholarship to presume that. But it's a kind of lazy scholarship that's followed by others. Nabil Matar, in a book that is interesting in many ways called Islam in Britain, said that the likelihood in Tudor or Stuart Britain of an Englishman or Scotsman meeting a Muslim were higher than that of meeting a sub-Saharan African. Now, I know it's sometimes difficult when you take phrases out of context. And these three authors that I've just described, their books are worthy of your analysis in other ways. However, when they come to talk about Africans in medieval or early modern society, they are symptomatic of a kind of historical laziness that doesn't just permeate the works that I've been describing, but permeates the whole academy. The whole academy, be it in Britain or America, is infused with this laziness.
Right. They talk about this in
Kenneth
in
Little,
yeah,
a book 1948 called Negroes in Britain, doubts East Indian origin was a familiar figure in England until well on in the 16th century, except as a chance visitor. We've got this same accidental thing going on here, yeah? Or when imported. In other words, Little is implying that these people were slaves, and it is only slavery, the inscription of slavery, which is capable of defining Africans and giving them meaning within medieval or early modern English society. In other words, we need slavery to be the reference point to explain or to
What happened to the video?
You know what?
Be choking up.
Yeah, they don't want the information to come out, man. Why all of a sudden is just doing it now?
They scared, bro. They are scared.
Crazy, man. So it just stopped by itself all of a sudden.
You know what it is? They ain't never think that we would ever find out the truth. But what they keep forgetting is we got a supreme being up in heaven, man, that kept things on lockdown. And when it was time for this stuff to be revealed, he was going to let it come out. Whatever's in the dark going to come to the light. And now it's coming to the light.
This, though. Watch this, my brother John, JT. There's another witness. You know what I'm saying? The Most High is a witness, and the earth is a witness. The earth bore witness even when Abel died, right? When he was murdered by his brother Cain, that the earth cried out. Whenever you see that, the earth cried out, this is basically, that's forensic science. That's when you start looking into, you know what I'm saying, the evidence that's there inside the ground, and it talks to you, tells you what happened. The stories are there, right? And that's what anthropology is all about. You know what I mean? The study of history,
classified themselves as white in English, would like to think that those other ancestors are the Vikings, the Danish raiders. But evidence from archaeology, from DNA, from investigation, again and again has shown that yes, whilst there were people that arrived from the 7th century, perhaps even before, up until the 12th century, and even formed a dominant group in certain parts of the aristocracy of England between the 7th and the 12th century, they never formed a dominant majority population within English society, and very, very, very few people in modern English society can actually trace their roots to people who arrived from those regions at that time and claim therefore a Danish or Viking ancestry. However, far more likely, when people do their DNA tests, is for them to find that they have an African ancestor, not 6-7 million years ago, you know, David Leakey and all of that stuff, you know, the out of Africa theory. I'm not talking about 6 or 7 million years ago. I'm talking within the last 400 or 500 years. And we're going to explain why those African ancestors are in English family trees. Because they are part of England's extended family, and have been part of England's extended family for at least 2,000 years. So there are respectable ancestors and there are unrespectable ancestors, but they're all ancestors. The Blackamoors, the Tawneys, the Fours, the Egyptians, all these people, and when I say Egyptians, I'm not talking about the ancient Egyptians, I'm talking about the Egyptians of early modern society, are all part of the medieval and early modern societies. The Saracens, who are found in English records, they are as much a part of the English extended family as the Vikings, the Normans, and the Anglo-Saxons are, just that they're not so respectable. So, the way that we may delineate those members within our family tree, within England's history, that we don't want to claim, we may call them the other, the stranger, the foreigner, the immigrant, Johnny come lately, or we might just dismiss them as being enslaved, as some of those previous authors did. Now, the reason why they do that is because there is a separate form of historiography that relates to the other, the stranger, the foreigner, the immigrant, and Johnny come lately. This separate form of historiography separates these people classified as such from the mainstream narrative of these given countries. So it's a way of talking about a country's narrative or story and excluding the other, the stranger, and the rest as not part of the mainstream narrative. And that way you can get away with a kind of lazy historiography that is devoid of color. It is a lazy narrative that focuses on the images of the monarchs that I showed you, on big stories, and then underwrites those stories with a monoethnicity imagined and then placed on those narratives. And any person of color that you meet along England's journey from the 11th century to the 16th century, you can then dismiss each of those individuals, families, communities, marriages, baptisms, burials, and everything else, communities. You can dismiss them as narratives about the other, narratives about the stranger, narratives about the foreigner, narratives about the immigrant, and narratives about Johnny come lately, or narratives about enslaved people. And they never disrupt the mainstream narrative that you wish to promulgate. So, as I said, we need to set aside the monoethnicity placed on certain terminologies. Let's just take a few of these terms and explain why these are not monoethnic terms in the way in which we might think. The term Celts, for example, describes a range of people who inhabited Britannia and other parts of Europe from 850 BCE to about 450 CE, and later on other parts of Europe, including Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, later than that date. It does not describe a specific culture or a specific language. And the people colloquially called Celts would not have described themselves in that way. They would have described themselves as the Iceni, or the Brigantes, or other terms. but not as Celts. This is a term colloquially given to them by their enemies. It does therefore not describe a mono-ethnically circumscribed set of people.
Yeah, hit that like and subscribe
it
button,
applies
everybody.
to a range of different peoples who inhabited Europe from the Iberian Peninsula and even parts of North Africa into Central Europe, including parts of France, and to the and parts of Italy, and of course Britannia. These were a diverse group of people who are described in different ways by the different writers that saw them. Tacitus describes them in different ways. Julius Caesar describes them in different ways. The writers employed by Claudius and Caligula describe the people that they met in different ways. Some of them describe them colloquially in a more generic term, as having blonde hair and blue eyes. Others are described as being darker in complexion, yes, and being menelated. All of these descriptions are possible since these people are diverse. Let's move on from the Vikings to Anglo-Saxon. Now, this is a term that has become quite a popular term that attempts to describe the dominant population in England during the 7th all the way through to about the 11th or the 12th century. It itself is a generic term describing a range of different Germanic peoples, including Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Visigoths, Vandals, and others. These different sets of peoples, at different moments in English history, form parts of the strata of the established aristocracy from sort of the 5th century onwards. There is a debate on whether they disrupted the ethnicity of English society in the way in which is often claimed, and there are two schools of thought. One is that there was a mass invasion of these peoples, and they uprooted the established people who were here, the Celtic people. Another school of thought is that they uprooted members of the aristocratic branch of the Celtic fraternity and established themselves as the Anglo-Saxon ruling elite. Another argument is that the Celtic population mixed and commingled with these Germanic invaders. But the point is that neither term, be it Celtic or Anglo-Saxon, is monoethnic. Neither of these terms describe a skin color. None of these terms describe a hair color. None of these terms describe an eye color. Good, let's move on. So from the 11th century to the 15th century, an Anglo-Norman hegemony was established. This Anglo-Norman hegemony was predicated on the basis of being able to draw your aristocratic blood from William the Conqueror. It later became your capacity to draw your blood from the Plantagenet line, either Henry II or Edward I, depending on how forward you're going in history. It was never based on skin color or hair texture. So England didn't develop a racialized perspective, a kind of racialized perspective that is now present, either as an undercurrent or an overt current, within modern English thought, did not develop in the medieval period. Nor would I suggest, did it develop in the early part of the early modern period. That is firmly a feature of the end of the period of time in which we're talking about, and the beginning of the modern age, despite the fact people wishing to blame medieval or early modern England for all of modern day racism. Unfortunately, so much of modern racism is in fact down to us and the science of race, biological determinism, John Frederick Blumenbach, Carl Linnaeus. These are 18th, 19th century writers. Perhaps Francis Bernier at the end of the 17th century. It's not William the Conqueror. It's not Henry II. It's not Edward I. It's not Edward III. It's not Henry VI. It's not Henry VII. And it's not even Queen Elizabeth or Henry VIII.
A couple of
everybody that he had on that list was
the modern
actually
people.
black, man.
So, within the period of time that we're talking about, people of African descent, people of color, were part of medieval and early modern English society. And these people were called Moors, Garamantes, Barbaries. Later, but from the influence of the Spanish, they were called Negroes, or nigar from the Latin word black. But these terms are later terms. The early terms, such as Saracen, which was a generic term, a term capable
by the way, I think
of
this guy-
describing lots of people, including Africans.
What'd you
An
say, Jay?
example,
I said, I think he's a
Bartholomew in 13th century Nottingham is on the run.
There's a couple.
He has escaped from his employer, Roger de Linton, and he is on the run. He has broken his bond, which meant that in this case, this particular person may have been enslaved at some point, or may indeed be a slave nominally at some point. And he's on the run in Nottingham in the 13th century. Bartholomew is described and called a Saracen in the pipe rolls in which he appears. And he is also described as a blackamoor. He's described as a blackamoor twice and a Saracen once. The term Saracen here is a generic term to describe the fact that in this case, Bartholomew is probably not a Christian. So this term Saracen is capable of describing, in this case, a blackamoor, but also other people from Asia Minor and other places too.
Right, they could
So,
practice any
when we see
Semitic
references in English records, we should not dismiss the term Saracen as only applying to Salahuddin or people from Asia Minor, since the term was capable of describing Africans as well, as it did with Bartholomew on the run in 13th century England. This term Saracen also described people of African descent, such as the man buried in Ipswich, in the Greyfriars Cemetery, also in the 13th century. This African man, that considerable research has been done on his DNA, etc., probably hailed either from North Africa or the Iberian Peninsula. These are places that from the 7th century all the way through to the 16th century had a significant presence of people of color from North and West Africa and Asia Minor. Some of these people were colloquially called Moors and also colloquially called Saracens. The man buried in the Ipswich Cemetery, whose bones we have now dug up and investigated, hailed from one of these regions and was probably employed in the Greyfriars Cemetery in which he was buried. Other people of African descent present in England include those described by Richard Devizes in his text satirically. Richard Devizes goes further than the few records that we have definitely, categorically said these people of African descent. He goes further. Richard Devizes actually says it with a satirical note that the people of African descent make up a significant presence of the people of other nations present inside the capital of the City of London. And he also satirically says that if you're a traveller coming to England, pass through London quickly, because it's full of tribes of all nations, including the Garamantes, including the people of African descent, the people of Moorish descent. Now, this is not entirely surprising. that we should find not only records of people of African descent during the medieval period, but that we also should find images of people of African descent present in England and in other parts of Europe. This is because from the 8th century, Gibraltar al-Tariq, that the Rock of Gibraltar is named after, arrived in 711 on the Iberian shore with an army of people, predominantly of whom were of North and West African ancestry. Only a minority were actually from Asia Minor. Gibraltar al-Tariq began a series of incursions, followed up by other people from North, West Africa, and from Asia Minor. These incursions pushed all the way up through the Iberian Peninsula. At one point, during the early part of the 8th or 9th century, the Moorish population had 90% of Spain and Portugal under their authority. Also in the 8th century, these Moorish sets of peoples invaded what is modern-day France, settled down in Picardy, settled down in the Aquitaine, reached as far as Le Mans, settled in parts of Normandy. A reconquista, beginning in the 8th century, sought to drive out these Moorish populations. And we know that much of this reconquista has now been glamorized in mythology. We read about it in the song.
No, I'm just talking about that movie that Martin Lawrence went back in time, and he was like,
yeah, that's the Black Knight. Me and my son
that's what it was. Yeah, that was fun.
Yep. And he called
Roland, which is unequivocal, absolutely unequivocal in describing the Moorish people who had invaded France as being people of African descent. Unequivocal. I know we may smart at it with a kind of political correctness and argue with our politically correct, woke 21st century minds about the way in which these people are described. But I say actually thank goodness that these terms are so explicit, because it helps to disrupt the emotional narrative that we might have in describing the Moorish people as not being capable of being people of African descent. So the mythology of the Song of Roland, the mythology of the matter of France, is quite clear that the Moorish population are dark-skinned people, or at least the dark-skinned people of African descent make up a significant part of the Moorish population. Here shown in this 8th century image. These people are also depicted in other images that crisscross around Europe and describe these Moorish people as warriors, warlords, servants, friends, and neighbors. We mustn't think that the conflicts of the Moorish population led to a racialized perspective being developed in all parts of Europe. Certainly in some parts of Europe, even as early as the 8th or 9th century, there is an ethnic chauvinism and an anti-blackness that is present in some of those pieces of work written about those Moorish people. But this anti-blackness and anti-Africanness is not predicated on the same kinds of ideas that anti-blackness and anti-Africanness and modern-day racism is predicated. And we should stop saying that it was, because it's not predicated on the same ideas. It's predicated on the basis of these people being conquerors, warriors, and warlords in Europe, not on the basis of them being automatically enslaved, inferior, etc. So this is a wonderful image from 14th century German artwork and manuscript. It is actually quite much larger than that, and it describes in a visual way some of the very events that I've been talking about. We should note that these writers, thank goodness, without a shred of political correctness, describe and depict the Moorish populations of early modern Europe as unequivocally people of dark-skinned African descent, with red tongues. Yes, with red tongues. Of course, these Moorish populations, these people of African descent, could exist in English society because England had not developed in the medieval period a racialized perspective in the same way as it later developed a racialized perspective. Having said that, England was of course being influenced by some ideas arising from other parts of Europe, which did have an ethnic chauvinism, or in some cases a prototype of ethnology, which was anti-black and anti-African, especially in the Iberian Peninsula. In Aragon, as the last Moorish stronghold of Granada was defeated in 1492, and the Moorish lands were sequestrated, and Spain and Portugal were made into unitary states, the Moorish population continued throughout the Iberian Peninsula, contrary to what some people may say, up until 1632, when 300,000 were expelled by Philip III. Between that period of time, 1632 to 1492, Aragon took on the imagery and the symbology of the Moors as a representation and a prototype of their coat of arms. Of course, Catherine of Aragon, when she arrived here in 1502, brought that symbology with her. But it's not just a symbology that she brought with her Moorish people. They came with her. They were part of her entourage.
I think there was a lot of significant points in there. You know what I'm saying? JJ?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. One of the things I think, you know what I'm saying, was earlier on, and like towards the beginning, he brought up the fact that, you know, the Celts were not just like one, you know what I'm saying, group of people, that there were different, you know what I'm saying, ethno groups and within what they considered, you know what I'm saying, or labeled as Celts, which I thought, and it didn't have to do with, you know what I'm saying, ideologies or language or anything like that. It was like more or less defining the geographic region of people at that time, a large group of different peoples. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier when people try to, you know what I'm saying, kind of get everything all mixed up when they assume that, you know, people, oh, these are Ethiopians, these are West Africans, these are, and people don't realize that it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know?
How Google Scholar try to label us all as West Africans. You're not an Israelite, you're West African and Central African. So what is that?
Yeah, who are those? What does that encompass? See, that would be the next question. Now, even understanding that geographic regions would have large different cultural diversities and genetic diversities of people within them. You know what I'm saying? And based on the time period, the geographic region, and whatever historical basis for, you know, transmigrations or whatever, or different cultural developments that happen in those lands. So you can't just call somebody a West African without defining what kind of West African they are.
Right. That's all. We've been asking that for years. What do you mean, West? What tribe? I mean, what? And then a lot of people from West Africa, they didn't originally start in West Africa. You show early on your map. Some of the Yoruba said they came from what? Yemen, some goddamn where?
Where they what was so like the northeastern Africans were going back and forth, transmigrating and back migrating from the Horn of Africa into Sabia and southern Arabia, and probably moving all around through Arabia too. And then you have the people who were coming down from the Sinai Peninsula, from underneath even the Caucasus Mountains and Eurasia region, going back into back migrating into West Africa, going right through North Africa and ending up in like Central Africa and West Africa, right? And that encompasses that other map. For some reason I couldn't enlarge it. I was trying to enlarge the other map because it'll show you all of the genetic lines and their historical movements. You'll see E1B1B moving from north, lower north Africa, northeastern Africa, all the way up into Arabia. But then you'll see like J moving down from the Middle East and the Mediterranean into West Africa, to the Congo, to Sierra Leone, to, you know what I'm saying? And that was considered like the not the Limbo, but the what do you call it? The Levant period, right? So
Yeah.
you know, this is nothing that is not documented. For people to sit here and say, well, you just got that from the white man who enslaved your grandmother. It was the last thing I was going to say about this. Go ahead, Brother JJ. I have one closing statement. I wanted to show this little video.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to share this one little screen because what I want to show y'all is this fallacy argument of lineage and time. Okay, so if Sister Karima could pull that up, I want to just bring this up real quick, and it doesn't seem like it's relevant. You know what I'm saying? Because, and there's one of the pictures is missing. I had a picture of, I think, Leonard Howell was supposed to be here in this white area. I had moved some things around. But here you have, like, you know, Abba Bivens, you know what I'm saying? And this is the early 1969, you know what I'm saying, Israelite groups. You have here, this is Abba, this is Rabbi Ford right here, and you know what I'm saying, at the bottom. You got the Harlem Renaissance of 1920s. I'm saying Abba Bivens, Abba Ford, Rabbi Matthews, and then even here I placed the Yoruba culture that was going on in that time period. There was a huge surgence of West Africans practicing Lukumi and Ife Ile. Isn't that interesting? In the same area where you have these black Jews claiming that their ancestry goes back all the way to West Africa, you have black folks who are practicing a form of Afro-Judeo.
Would you okay, now you gotta explain to the audience what is Lukumi.
Okay, so Lukumi is a Yoruba religion that the Orishas, the worship of the Orishas, and this is a West African tradition that you'll see in Ghana and you know what I'm saying, Nigeria, and there's different groups, you know what I'm saying. However, they practice an African form, which many scholars, which I had brought up earlier in one of my slides, many scholars believe that the Oyo Yoruba tradition and the Lukumi tradition, which is like an African form, it is West African tradition that went passed on to Cuba and to Haiti and to, you know, Jamaica when Africans were brought here. The Lukumi have a very strong correlation to the Judaic roots. What most people don't realize is the Yoruba religion, even though it did receive a lot of influences from the other African traditions that were going on at the time with, you know what I'm saying, a lot of those cultural practices, that really the Lukumi and the Ife Ile is actually a practice of Judaism. It just, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So where do all these Ephos come from? Which is all these in between intermediaries that they got like like 800 of them, maybe more.
Right.
So how did that tie in?
Right. So I'm gonna show you this. So it's just like there's one Godhead in the Ife, right?
Right.
There's one the highest, and all of the other ones that are called Orishas are more or less like angels or prophets or patriarchs, priests. You know what I'm saying? and so they were given divinity, but they still have a human aspect to them. They have they're not the creator, because there's only one creator even in their culture.
That's Olodumare.
Right. Olodumare. Right?
I say Olodumare. Olodumare.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same, you know, and the Spanish kind of says a little bit different than the African. You know what I'm saying? So the Spanish will say Ilegua, right? But in the African it would be Legba. Yeah. So like you said, in the Latin, how they say it in the Spanish or in Cuba, they say Olodumare. You know what I'm saying? A little freaking, you know, Latin twang to it.
Oh, man.
But this culture was happening at the same time of the growth of the Israelite movement, which is showing you the origins. Here in this picture here, you'll see a picture of Sammy Davis Jr. Why do I have a picture of Sammy Davis Jr. there? Because he was born in the 1920s in Harlem during the time of the Harlem Renaissance. Why am I saying this? It's because most people want to say, well, you need to go back to your African roots and your African ancestors and stop following the white man, this, that, and the other, right?
Yeah,
but my ancestors,
bro, you could let Sammy up out of. He started hanging with Anton LaVey.
Yeah, he did. He fell off. You know what I'm saying? But his Judaic culture was pre you know, Rat Pack. Put it that way.
Yeah, pre-Rat Pack. Yeah, okay.
Pre-Rat Pack. He was a Jew before
right.
He became a gangster. Yeah, and you know. So anyway, so my point is this: is that people are trying to stagnate not only people in geographic region, but they're trying to stagnate culture when it comes to the evolution of time and how culture develops over time. You see what I'm saying? So what shall we go back to? Since you want to go back to the origins, let's go all the way back to Australopithecus, where they didn't even know how to make tools, right? Or we should go back to worship in this, that, and the other. No, even Egypt's religion wasn't the original religion that they, you know what I'm saying, that black folks practice. So the argument is moving. Oh, you just got that from white people. No. White people got it from us. And then turn it back on us, and now we're taking it back and correcting it. You know what I'm saying? It's not rocket surgery. So my point is, you can't forget your grandmother went to church. You can't forget your mama made you go to church. You know what I'm saying? Even though, you know, we don't practice a lot of the traditions that we were taught as children, we still have to realize that our culture has a long history that even goes back further. My great grandfather's name was Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and he practiced Judaism. Right. Came from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? On my grandfather's side, on my mother's side. You know, so you know, people got it twisted. They be like, you a Hamite, nigga. Where did Israel live for 400 years? Were they in the land of Hamites? It's a stupid argument. So anyway, that's my point. Is people don't understand that history. You know, you got a lot of Egyptian cats and atheists that want to try to deny our culture and say, you know what I'm saying, we got Judaism from white folks, but I don't understand that it's all connected to the African root. We had this long before the white man came with their white Jesus.
Right.
And we just got back in like 1920s going on into the 1960s, 1970s. And this is the gathering, the outcasts is dispersed. That's why I brought that up. So, you know, they can say what they want to say. They can't deny, you know what I'm saying, facts. Can't deny facts.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty good information. We've been on for 3 hours again. You know, time do fly, right? And you know, could be as a, you know, I ain't gonna say it's a blunt. I'm just gonna tell you it's a direct shot to Sean and his crew, and whoever else. If it's people from Dagger Squad, people from Sinetta TV. Y'all got to stop denying the truth when we bring out this information. We got Mighty Hebrew living over there, going to all these different places, and these people are saying, yeah, we Israelites. We got we're not saying everybody, but they want to deny everything, man. So I don't know, like Yasha said. I mean, we ain't got to keep proving nothing to them. I mean, we're not. We just going over our information over here, right?
Right, exactly. It's enlightening, you know what I'm saying? Put some enlightenment where there's a whole lot of folks trying to spread darkness and ignorance and deny, you know what I'm saying? Just historical fact, like just a fact.
Yeah. So what they try to do over there, said no, Swarty can mean like a mulatto, or it really means they call white people Swarty. This what they was parading around saying. I'm like, I don't get that from what you reading, but I don't know what's going on, bro. And then they asked us, well, how do different all y'all believe in the Bible, but y'all got different interpretations? Well, we can say the same thing about you two. We both read the same article, but y'all trying to say Swarty means white. Isn't that crazy?
Swarty means white.
Yeah. We was trying to wait for you to bring out the rest of the information. You didn't disappear.
Yeah, man. Y'all was on those videos, so you know what I'm saying. I have to go support the fam real quick, and you know what I'm saying. I'm right back. I'm right back with it.
Yeah.
So where we at with it, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what we talking about at this point?
We bringing it to a head, you know what I'm saying, about, you know, how all these things, like, you know, people have a false concept of time, genealogy, history. You know what I mean? The Israelites, they always want to try to claim that this ain't this or that, or this came from the Ottomans. You know, don't shoot me in the head, Sabio.
Oh wow! He upset. He has a fascination with the Ottomans.
Hey man, he gonna cut your head off talking about.
I know he gonna be mad at me tomorrow.
You know, y'all do. Y'all learn everything from the Ottomans. Y'all learn the whole practice from the Ottomans. Y'all learn the language from the Ottomans. Y'all learn everything.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like
your vengeance from the Ottomans. You got your vengeance for the Ottomans.
You got your practices.
Mad at the Ottomans
from the Ottomans. What are you talking about?
That boy mad at the Ottomans. Hey, yo, listen, B. Our culture done went through all kinds of transformations in other cultures and then came back to us. You know what I'm saying? People are not stagnant. You know what I'm saying? We have to live with people around the world. We you know what I'm saying? We go through wars and all kinds of, you know what I'm saying, transitions with people. At the end of the day, you know where the root of this came from. And you know what I'm saying, that we have the right to rewrite and reprove our history at the end of the day. I don't care if the Ottomans took it, threw it back in our faces, you know what I'm saying, like mud, and you know what I'm saying, we turned it into a mud pop effort.
Hey, how y'all feel about Alexander, man?
I can't call it on Alexander the Great. I got some mixed emotions about that whole thing with the burning of the libraries and of and then naming it Alexandria. It wasn't called Alexandria before.
What's that? You talking about up in Egypt?
Yeah, you talking about Alexander the Great?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexander the Terrible is what Rastaman called him. Alexander the Bumbleclot.
Well, see, man, like that. It's a tainted history, man. Just like, you know what I'm saying, like I had to come across the information dealing with Christopher Columbus to have a different understanding than what the world has put out about it. So it starts to look like that with a lot of people that, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna just call them who I believe that they are, the Canaanites, you know, have actually taken their identity, you know what I'm saying, and replaced the real people with themselves. So like when I look at the work that Alexander did, right, when he went into Egypt, do you know that he didn't touch, in every land that he went to, every place that he came across Israelite structures or Israelite communities or information, he never fucked with our shit. He fucked with the pagan shit. He tore that shit down. He tore it up. But when it came down to us, he never touched our shit. Do y'all know anything about that?
Nah, but it sounds a little familiar.
Into it like that. But go ahead.
Check it out, fam. Check it out. Jake. Go. All you have to do is do a quick research. Check into his relationship with the Israelites. Alexander the Great relationship with the Israelites, and then you'll see what I'm talking about.
I'm definitely gonna look into.
He was a Macedonian, right?
To be honest with you,
yeah,
bro,
I believe he was a Macedonian.
I'm not even gonna say that, bro, because like I say, man, when you look into who he is, man, he wasn't none of that.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying they ain't teaching the right history about a lot of people.
About none of so think about it like this: the ones that they do teach the right history about, it ain't our people.
Yeah. So so go on to a little bit about that book you were showing. Which that Columbus book.
Right. These ones you pull up. Yeah.
All right, bet. So let me put my screen on real quick. So this is the book right here, right? Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn through it. You can see, you know what I'm saying? If y'all can see the notes, I got my notes all through it. You know what I'm saying? I done been through it. It's pins, red, blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch on a few things, right? So Jews, neighborhood first. So yeah, let's deal with this first, right? They like to talk about the Navy. They like to talk about how all of these other nations of people was sailing the seas and how they had all of this information. Well, when I look into it, they really didn't have all of the information because they could only, if I'm not mistaken, they can only sail at nighttime with the stars up in the sky. I think that was the only time that they could sail. But our people, we could sail night and day. It wasn't an issue for us to sail night and day, right? And I'm gonna read some information starting at page. Starting at page 1 of the book. All right. So it says, even in the middle of the 12th century, the Jewish traveler Benjamin of Toledo, the predecessor of Marco Polo, mentions the prosperity of Barcelona to inform himself concerning his co-religionists. He had visited the greater part of Southern Europe, of Africa, and of Asia, and his well-known book of travels was translated into many languages. He describes Barcelona as a beautiful city frequented by merchants from all lands, from Greece and Italy, from Egypt and Palestine, and from other neighboring parts of Asia. Ships bearing the Aragonian and Catalonian flag soon traversed the African seas and reached Egypt and Syria, right? During several centuries, the maritime enterprises and conquests of Aragon gave her a prominent place amongst the European powers. The Jews rendered noteworthy service in connection with the marine development of Spain. I'm gonna read that again. The Jews rendered noteworthy services in connection with the marine development of Spain. R.H. Judah of Valencia, or as he was called by contemporary historians, Don Giordano, the richest Jew of Aragon, was the confidential friend and the treasurer of King Jaime I, who asked his advice in the most important affairs of state. You hear that?
Yeah.
And now, mind you, this is during the 12th century, 1263. So, 1263, right? We know that there is no mention of these Caucasian Jews, especially in Spain, especially around the world. They were somewhere,
Right.
I'm not sure where they were supposed to be, but they definitely wasn't in Spain during this time. They wasn't recognized as Jews until 1940. That should ring a bell. So
Right.
when you understand that they wasn't recognized until Jews until the 1940, well, who was these people?
Can't. That's black Sephardim.
Right. This is the people that
1948, right? 1948.
Yeah, that's when they was recognized as Jews, but our ancestors was recognized as these so-called
Right.
Jews way
Way
before
back.
the 1263 that I'm about to read about, right? So people don't talk about that at all. People don't mention that. So-called scholars within the conscious community, they act like they scared to read books. They act like they scared to show the sources that they read, to back up the information that they speak about. That's a problem, family. That should be a problem for anybody that's listening to them, right?
Correct.
That should be a major issue, because what are you hiding? Why can't I go grab the book that you're showing, right? Because you giving me enough time to look at the title of it, right? Check it out. And then you also telling me the pages that you coming from. So when I do go purchase the book, right? Especially if you get this type of book, right? Whether it's a hardback or paperback, it's different than the page numbers when you PDF them. But the information, if you get the same book, is the same. So that's all you have to understand. And don't try and say, oh, well, in the PDF, it's on page 5. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's a fallacy right there. Yeah.
It's really okay that it's on page 5 and it's on page 2 here.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. But my point is this: when you talk about the Jews here during this time period, they were not pale skinned. They looked like myself, Judah, Karima, Brother Zion. You understand? Let me continue to read. Right. He said, so Don Giordano, right, the richest Jew of Aragon, was the confidential friend and the treasurer of King Jaime, who asked his advice in the most important affairs. So again, you see the Most High putting us in places where we need to be to make major decisions. Not only in Spain was that taking place, but when you take us right across the seas, right across the pond, right, as they say, right to the Gulf of Florida, right up in there, where you see the Seminole Indians, and you hear about those Seminole Indians that call themselves Seminoles today that dismiss the so-called Black Seminole Indians. Those same Seminole Indians tell you that during the time of 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, when we was over there in the land,
right?
They didn't make decisions, most important decisions, unless we was there, unless we was a part of the decision making.
Right.
They didn't. Matter of fact, they called us the warriors. So when it came down to protection and fighting in the Gulf of Florida, they didn't do shit without us. That's history.
We was the bangers, bro. We was the bangers.
So my point is, the Most High always had us, especially those that doing the right, doing what we supposed to do. He had us in the right places that we were supposed to be. Just like this brother right here. Not only the richest Jew, but close friend, very close friend to the king. and a counselor to the king, as you just heard me read. So he says, in 1263, at the request of the king, he fitted out a fleet which was placed in command of the Infante Don Fernando Sanchez. And 3 years later, Judah was entrusted with the preparation for the conquest of Murcia. So again, if we didn't have no knowledge of the sea and how to navigate the sea, why would he be in preparation of anything?
Right.
He's making sure that they got everything that they need to make sure they get through the trip up and back. That's what you call preparation. A person who knows the sea. You can't
Right.
have random talk about, okay, I got this list right here. Make sure all this on the boat. What? Where you
Now
going?
he was initiated in all of that knowledge
You
already.
understand?
Yeah.
You understand? So let's keep reading, right? In 1323, Don Alfonso, the heir apparent of the crown of Aragon, fitted out a great fleet for the conquest of Sardinia. Tortosa showed more patriotic zeal than any other city in the kingdom. The rich Jewish community of that town, at its own expense, equipped and manned 2 galleys. We wasn't poor. When I tell you that we built those castles, those beautiful structures, stop playing. We build beautiful structures everywhere we go. As you've seen it in Mesopotamia, as you've seen it in Egypt, as you've seen it in Africa, as you've seen it in the Americas, as you see it in Europe. And even when you do the research, you'll find it in East Asia, and you will find it in China, and you'll find it in India. Our communities thriving still because they kept some of our structures intact.
Can't.
They don't talk about this though. Let me keep reading though, right? It says the rich Jewish community of that town, at its own expense, equipped and manned 2 galleys. Before the fleet sailed, King Jaime II assured the Jews of Tortosa of his gratitude and goodwill. Moreover, the Jews of Aragon soon participated in the maritime affairs personally. So now we got our own ships out there. We got our own ships. We out there making our own conquest. We out there doing our own trading. That's what that just said. Because we had the funds,
Yes.
we had the money, and we had the knowledge to do it. We wasn't a stupid people. We wasn't a dumb people.
Right.
We wasn't goat herders everywhere that we went, because everywhere that we went didn't always have goats.
Using her claw.
So hold on. Let's read. It says, moreover, hold on, I read that. It says, to mention only one example, Yusuf Faquin, a Jew of Barcelona, had navigated the whole then known world. Yeah, man. We was all over the place. I'm going to read it again. Yusuf Faquin, a Jew of Barcelona, had navigated the whole then known world. As King Jaime III, the last king of Mallorca, himself testifies in 1334. So I wanted to read that and bring that out just to show you that when it comes down to who we are as a people, we didn't just farm the lands. We didn't just, serve people as they try and say. We actually built kingdoms. We actually navigated the world. You see, people are not going to talk about things like that if we don't bring it out. If we don't bring out our ancestors' information that's all over the world, how the people gonna know? How they gonna understand who we are and respect who we are? Because everybody know we are who our ancestors are. Everybody know that. They know who they are because of their ancestors, right?
Right.
So again, that's just one little bit of information, right? So let me get over here to this, right? It says August, right? August 2nd, 1391, when a riot broke out, which soon assumed the character of an open revolt. The furious mob attacked the Jews, who had no presentiment of impeding evil. And before the governor of the island could interfere, 300 of them were slain. 800 took refuge in the royal castle or in the university, while many others fled to the churches and were baptized. Judah Cresques, assuming the name Jaime Ribes or Ribes, sold his house, left the island, and by virtue of privilege granted to him by the king with whom he stood in high favor, he settled in Barcelona, the dwelling place of several of his relatives, Yehuda, Label, Cresques, Solomon, and Isaiah Cresques, and others. Here he continued to devote himself to his art, receiving employment for such persons as King Martin of Aragon until 1438. In that year, when nearly 60 years old, he was appointed by Prince Henry, director of the newly established academy at Sargers, with a large salary. This was the academy in which was laid the foundation of Columbus Project. Mystery Jaime became the teacher of the Portuguese in the art of navigation, as well as in the manufacturing of nautical instruments and maps. Come from a Jew, fam. That's how Spain was able to navigate. Because of us, because of our ancestors. Right? I'm gonna read that again. It says, here he continued to devote himself to his art, receiving employment from such persons as King Martin. So his art was navigation, right? What did he say? Nautical instruments and maps. So talk about those ancient maps that they try and keep hid, that you got to do the digging on. You find out that some of them come from our ancestors, man.
Right.
Some of them come from our ancestors. Again, all right. Let me read some more, right? He says, this was the academy in which was laid the foundation of Columbus Project. So meaning that Columbus learned from his family, his Jewish family, right? If it wasn't so, why would they even mention this? Why would they even mention Columbus Project right here if he wasn't a part of the Jews? In his relationship with the Jews, so where he was raised, the community he was raised in a Jewish community. When he left that community and went to a whole nother community, guess what community he went to? Another Jewish community. Do you think that he wasn't a Jew?
That's not a coinky dink.
You think that he wasn't a Jew? So let me just finish reading a little bit, right? He says, Mystery Jaime became the teacher of the Portuguese in the art of navigation, as well as in the manufacture of nautical instruments and maps. In this work, he had no superior in his day. He was the man. That's what that said. It was nobody smarter than this man at that time. When it came down to nautical instruments like compasses that we use to navigate the flat earth. That's why it's on a circular little disc, just like we are. So it has to mimic everything that we got going on so that you can navigate on this plane. If it wasn't so, it'd be a ball or a globe, as y'all call it, not circular.
Yeah, man. Hey, another flat earth fun fact. You know, even your own government, when they get these fighter jets and all this, they make the calculation for it. They base it off a flat earth calculation.
Absolutely.
Can.
All right. So he says, in this work, right, the nautical instruments and maps, right, and navigation, in this work, he had no superior in his day. To him, we are chiefly in debt for the improvement of the compass and for the application of the astronomical astroball to navigation. I need y'all to look that up.
That's a globe, bruh. That he just said it's a freaking globe, bruh.
Listen to me.
My
Astronomical
brother to glory. I hope you watching.
astrolabe or labe to navigation. So astronomical, you know how to spell that. Astrolabe is ASTROLABE, right? Look that up. Astronomical, astrolabe.
I'll say globe.
All right, to navigation. When you look that up, you're going to understand why you need to look that up as Israel. And when you do the research on that information, right, on that instrument that they use to navigate the seas, save it. Keep it in your truth berry, not your library. Keep it in that truth berry.
Yeah. Hey, one point real quick. That's around the same time, you say 1492, around when they had the Pirates of the Caribbean. A lot of them pirates were Israelites. Go check that out. The black Israelite pirates of the Caribbean.
All right. So from Henry the Navigator, mind you, fam, I'm on page 5. I'm reading page 5. That's what I've been reading. Okay. Reading page 5. Right. From Henry the Navigator, who lived to hear of the discovery of Cape Verde and Azores, his grandnephew, Jao II, who became king of Portugal in 1481, seems to have inherited a love of exploration. His attention was constantly occupied with nautical affairs. He desired above all to provide navigators with the mathematical instrument for the determination of latitude and longitude. The astrolabe to the development of which Jewish scholars such as Abraham ibn Ezra, the physician Jacob ben Machir, and also called Don Porphyrios, Jacob Carsani, and others had contributed, was still imperfect. An instrument was needed by means of which the distance of a ship from the equator could be exactly computed by the varying position of the sun in the different seasons. So this is what I was saying, family.
And then we start building the gyroscope.
They couldn't navigate in the day. Without this instrument, they couldn't do nothing.
Right, because they had to use the stars or astrology. Exactly. Right.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So when these people get to talking that the Vikings, they was navigating the man, sit yourself.
Yeah, that's out of here.
Do some more research. Don't believe Hollywood, fam.
Right.
Okay? Don't believe Hollywood, but do some research on those Vikings, and you'll find out the truth about them.
They want us to believe Odin and Thor and
right. Leif Garrison and all this old weird.
Yeah, they was going around the known world at the time, just taking people's stuff and just killing them and just
just bullying everybody. You know what I'm saying?
they wasn't that kind of people, fam. But you mess with them, they'll come and destroy your whole nation.
Yeah, they'll F you up. Yeah, we don't play that.
Destroy your whole nation. I'm talking about kids and all that, women, elders. Yeah. So let me get down to this right here. It says these improvements were in great part due, as most writers admit, to Portuguese Jews. Okay. From the middle of the 15th century, the Portuguese were considered the foremost navigators of the world, and their discoveries evoked general admiration. King Yao gladly received and patronized foreign navigators and all who were versed in the nautical affairs or in cosmography. All right. So that right there was just a little bit about our history when it come down to our intelligence and the nautical maps and navigation, right? Dealing with how we established that for those that are known today as Portugal and Spain, right? And so, mind you, with the fact that we taught them and all of that, it went up to Europe, it went all around the world, because they're using these same instruments today to understand how to navigate not just the sea, but the skies as well. I'm going to read you this bit about Columbus' upbringing. And I think this is important to understand. We're talking about our people being in Spain and Portugal, something that was a part of the topic today. So this is important for us to understand, to erase a lot of the lies that the world teach about Christopher Columbus. As Brother Terry said, Columbo, because it's in this source. We just never got to it while you was on the call at the time. Watch this. It says, born in 1446, Columbus was the son of a poor weaver of Genoa, right? He spent his youth in Savannah, a small maritime town in which, as in Genoa, several Jewish families dwelt in the medieval seclusion. So it was secluded, and that's where the Jews were, by them, by themselves. That's what the seclusion means, by themselves, right? Secluded from everybody else that's around in the land at the time, so that we can do what we do without no interruptions, without nobody bothering us, without us trying to convert people and all that old foolishness that a lot of people like to lie and talk about when they have no understanding of what conversion is, right? So what else do we say? He says he and his brothers helped their father in his work, but soon Columbus followed his natural inclination and devoted himself to navigation. This is why the information said Columbus affairs, right? His future affairs that he was about to start to get into, because this is where he started to learn these things, right? So he says, concerning his boyhood days and his education, we have little authentic information. There is no historical evidence that he joined the advantage of higher education or that he attended the University of Pavia, as the world like to put out there and teach, when there's no solid information on the information. It says, in 1472, we find him in Lisbon. Here, a few years later, he married Felipia Muniz, whose grandfather was not, as some assert, of Jewish stock. Columbus was a skillful cartographer and draughtsman. He supported himself by drawing maps, in which he also dealt, just as later in Andalusia, he traded in printed books. Let me get to the meat of it. Whether he had intimate commercial relations with them, he was no stranger to the Jews in Lisbon. Whether he had intimate commercial relations with them, or whether in his frequent financial troubles he obtained assistance from any of them, it is difficult to determine. But we know that in his will, he requested that half mark in silver should be paid to a Jew dwelling at the gate of the Jewry, or to him whom a priest would designate. So if he wasn't a Jew by practice and by blood, why would he be giving that half of anything to a priest? That's something that we did. That was a practice of ours, right? So we see here that Columbus, Christopher Columbus, as they call him, was practicing our customs, our heritage, right? Let's see what else they say about it. It says, long before Columbus made his will, the Jews had disappeared from Lisbon, right? I have had constant relations, he himself says, with the many learned men, clergy, and laymen, Jews and Moors, and many others. He had personal intercourse with Martin Behaim, who was about the same age as Columbus, also with Joseph Vecino, the above mentioned mathematician and royal physician, and with other learned Jews of Lisbon. So you hear all these titles we had in the land: mathematician, royal physician. Those were the actions of our priest, even in Israel. This is what they did. They were our teachers. They were our physicians. And in some cases, they was the judge. What else would it say? It says, Vecino prepared a translation of Vacuto's astronomical tables and gave a copy to Columbus, who was, as we shall see, carried it on his travels and found it a very great service. Joseph and Chronicles, the church fathers, and the Arabian writings of the Jews. We are naturally led to inquire what were his favorite works, what books were really in his possession. Let's see. It says, this latter work, it may be incidentally observed, had already in the 14th century been translated into Hebrew. Columbus' knowledge of Aristotle, Strabo, Seneca, and other Latin and Greek classics was derived from Prior Adeli's book, The Image of Mundi, was his constant traveling companion, and his copy of its filled with its own marginal annotations. So when you understand who Aristotle is, Strabo is, let me ask y'all, family, who are them according to y'all understanding? Who is Aristotle, who is Strabo, and who is Seneca, according to y'all understanding?
I can't even call that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, all you got, when you do a little research on these individuals, you'll find out that they related too. They not who the pale skin say that they are.
Okay.
Aristotle, Strabo, and Seneca. Just check it out. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how, you know, he was reading our people's information, but we don't understand that. We think that he was just reading Greek information. Well, our people was up there, very prominent, very important, ruled right? For centuries, for a long time. So why wouldn't we have some smart individuals like everywhere we went? Like I just read to you about the navigate, the person who was the top in the world at the time of navigation, astronomical, what was it? Nautical instruments, maps. Was nobody better than him. Nobody top, nobody superior. It wasn't just in Spain. It wasn't just okay. It wasn't just in our homeland. It wasn't just in Egypt where we were doing all of these great things. I'm just saying, family, we was everywhere. Very intelligent, smart people. You can't get away from this. They talk about us all the time. They just whitewashed our face. They just whitewashed our face. So I'm gonna get to this last paragraph, and then I'm gonna hand it back over so I can go cook this rice for my baby. All right. So we got right here. It says, besides Zacuto's astronomical tables already mentioned, he possessed some of the works written by or ascribed to Abraham ibn Ezra. For example, the little book of critical days. Ezra was an eminent man of learning. His name was honored by Christians as well as Jews. Zacuto doubtless called Columbus' attention to De Navigatibus. During the later residence of Salamanca, he bought a copy of it in the city according to a note in his own handwriting for 41 maravedis. Later in Spain, he read with religious zeal the tract on the Messiah. I'm going to read that again. Later in Spain, he read with religious zeal the tract on the Messiah, which was written by the proselyte Samuel ibn Abbas of Morocco. So there we go. Our family in Morocco, right? Like we've been saying, we everywhere.
Right.
All right. For the purpose of converting our Isaac of Sergimonte. It had been translated into Spanish in 1339 and into Latin 100 years later. This book interested Columbus so much that he excerpted 3 whole chapters. He was also very fond of reading the Bible and 4th book of Ezra, which was probably written by a Jew who lived outside of Palestine. According to his own assertion, the incentive that impelled him to plan his discoveries was not a love of science, but his interpretation of the prophecies of Isaiah. And I'm going to end right there, loved ones. Get this book. Christopher Columbus and the Participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese Discoveries by Meyer Kaeserling, right? Meyer Kaeserling. Get this book. It's edifying, trust me. Fam, I gotta go cook for my daughter, man. And it's late too, so it's on me.
Where you at, General?
One.
So, everybody still there? Y'all still chewing on this information?
No, he's done.
Okay, okay.
Trying to see where.
Yeah, you know, when you come to the Lions Den, you're gonna get some meat. So y'all, you ain't gonna just get no milk now. If you need to drink milk, you might need to go someplace else first. My brother Yashar, you know what I'm saying? Sourced up, you know what I'm saying? Brought forth a lot of good information. Brother JJ 7000. Where you at, brother? What you want to do?
He went to go handle some business. Yep.
Say again?
He had to handle some business. Yeah. But yeah, let's close it out.
Damn. All right. You got a track you want to play? Close it out?
Nope, we just gonna close it.
All right.